you really do have to realize that people are operating in bad faith.
That's the whole point of the content that she makes, is to operate in bad faith.
I could have researched the entire Snark lawsuit. Ethan has continually harassed the Snark moderators.
The people who sent him human skulls?
Oh, he's apologized for his slurs. Where are those apologies? I'd like to see clips of those.
Oh, I thought you were a researcher. Why wouldn't you be able to find that?
I thought most people were kind of in agreement that what Israel was doing is f***ed up.
She didn't have that opinion because she didn't know what the f was going on. Now she's gonna pretend like, oh wait, actually.
He himself has admitted that he has said things about Palestine which were unacceptable.
Bro, you guys can't keep consistent from point to point. Weren't you guys talking about how he never apologizes earlier?
You know, he was really struggling a lot with his mental health, and his first thought was to do a birthright trip. I think it's telling.
You think that's telling? What is the insinuation here? That he's always been some kind of like an arm of Israel?
Ethan continues to claim, I've spoken about Palestine, but when it comes to other people speaking about it, he will point the finger and say anti-Semitism, and he will not actually engage with you.
What do you want? Do you want to watch them throw a Star of David in the garbage? Like, what do they need to do? Like, what the f do they need to do, bro? Guys, we're doing more H3. All right, let's just check out the conversation between Chris Kunzler and Cruel World Happy Mind. People say it's a wild one, so why not, man? Let's see if she can. Let's see if she holds to her very apologetic tone with H3.
And everyone here, Madison.
Who's Madison? Like Madison beer? Wow.
Right.
On the stream.
Yeah, it should be working, I think.
Yeah.
So
you
exciting.
can hear. They're saying yes, they can hear, I think.
Yay.
Don't you love how she went from like yeah, this is content slop time. Don't you like how she went from like never like live streaming or doing anything and just doing curated videos, and now she's on like a press tour, an anti-Ethan Klein press tour?
I'm not nervous at all.
It is
right.
cutting a tiny bit, but just I think it should be fine.
Oh, okay.
It should be
Okay,
fine. I can't see why it wouldn't be. I've streamed
Yikes.
like this on Discord before, so
She was a professional.
everyone is saying yes. There's no echo as well, chat. They're not complaining about anything. People are just saying hello and yay and welcome and love your work and such.
Yay, we love
People are
you.
being very appreciative and
We love you, girl.
supportive. So I guess
No H3 fans yet, I guess.
no, I think that all comes later, of clips of people being like, this thing was said, and oh my god, can you believe that this is a thing? And trying to claim that, you know.
I love that the same community of people that like clip people out of a context are like, they're just gonna clip us out of context. It's like, okay, I guess.
You're sort of an evil monster, and that I've, you know, helped you to be an evil monster. But
Okay, so you're prepared. That's good to know.
I don't personally, like, I understand it's different for you. I mean, we'll talk about this, but I guess probably in terms of the videos you've made, I'm guessing you haven't had like previously too much pushback like this, at least.
Well, no, because she usually does. Dude, this is dumb. No, she usually does like easy hits. Like that's her content, is like, hey, let's talk about someone easy. You know, which, you know, I get it. And then this time, you know, she's got some fucking pushback from somebody. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I'm sure you're very used to with the content that you make, where I'm sure you could probably give me a lot of advice in this instance. This is very different for me. I started making content because I actually have really crippling social anxiety. So
That doesn't make any sense to me. You started making content because you have crippling social anxiety, and that doesn't make any sense to anybody. I don't understand. You made content because you liked it. That's cool, but like, what?
making content where I'm basically talking to a wall and I can prepare what I'm saying a little bit better, edit it down. That helped me a lot actually with my social anxiety, and to learn that people aren't as bad as you would think. So this situation has been interesting in that manner, because it was actually really helpful initially.
I feel bad for Chris. He's got to have to sit through this woman. This is obnoxious so far.
You know, which is actually one thing I've realized a lot when I'm talking on live stream is I say, you know, a lot. I guess we'll have a counter. But talking to a camera, editing videos down, and interacting with an online community helped me really break out of my social anxiety, especially during the pandemic when I was very isolated. And it helped me kind of open myself up a little.
Holy fuck, can he turn off the fucking membership announcements?
A little bit more. And then this whole situation was very interesting for my social anxiety in that aspect. It kind of forced me to break out in this live streaming environment, have to speak in manners that I'm not as used to, in to audiences that I'm not as used to, and be confronted with people that are not as nice as I'm used to. But in that,
I mean, you tried to snark Ethan Klein by saying a bunch of dumbass, like unverified shit, and then you're getting upset when you get called on it. But okay.
And as many people picked up, I have people pleasing tendencies. I have a lot of issues that I've been working out in therapy.
What the fuck are you talking about?
me for years.
Oh, she's saying that she has people-pleasing tendencies so that she could like downplay her apology to Ethan Klein. Okay.
And so all of that has kind of coalesced in this situation. I think the only comparable incidents has been the Illuminati drama, which some people might be privy to, but which was my first sort of online drama, and it was very weird to navigate, but definitely not even close to this situation in terms of the amount of online harassment and messages, and just sort of, I'm used to...
I love how like her harassment, one of her harassment things was that she got told that she has Hassan's balls in her mouth, and that like triggered her and started into a cry festival.
Really genuinely listening to the comments that I get and taking that in, the criticism, the feedback, and listening to it, because I do think a lot of content creators will get criticism and they'll sort of deflect, or they'll get very defensive.
That's what you did the whole time in the conversation with Ethan Klein. What are you talking about?
And I really never wanted to be that person when it came to...
You are that person. What?
Making content. I always wanted to be very receptive to feedback. And this has thrown me for a loop in that sense, because I do think that there gets to a point where you really do have to realize that people are operating in bad faith, or that there's certain things.
Yes, that's what you were doing. That's your whole strategy. Your whole strategy is operating in bad faith. That's the whole point of it. Like, that's the whole point of the content that she makes, is to operate in bad faith. Like, that's what she does. That's what she talked about Ethan Klein in the first place, was to fucking take him out of context and talk about him in bad faith. That was the entire point. That's what the fuck?
Things that
she thought it was going to be an easy dunk.
Shouldn't listen to, or you shouldn't take in a very genuine way, because they're not operating genuinely.
No. Okay.
So that's been a new thing for me.
I mean, I still remember like the first time that I got like major pushback for something that I'd done, and it was different, and it was major pushback. Like there were a couple of times, especially when I'd, first started making content. Like there was one time where I made a video about this barge that they were putting refugees on in the UK, and it was like horrible. Someone died there as a result of like how unsanitary and like unacceptable the conditions were. And I remember I had like 300 likes, and I had 200 comments from real accounts that were just like, they deserve worse, they deserve to die. And I was just like, I
how do you know they were real accounts?
Really struggled, and it was pushback that I'm like, these people are crazy. Like these are crazy things. But hearing that kind of stuff is still difficult. And even yesterday, I did a live where I'd sometimes do the...
I don't think that's comparable to what's happening here, because what he's talking about an instance where like a terrible thing happened and people said it didn't, and they don't care. This is an instance of she snarked the fuck out of Ethan Klein, and then she got pushback for it, and now it turns into this.
These kind of debate things, and one of the people was, eventually he was trafficking some very anti-Semitic things, and unfortunately that, of course, like because of the way TikTok Live operates, all of a sudden there were a lot of people enjoying that who were not my regular viewers, but were like people spamming in the chat, like, oh, we love this, and just having to sit there and block them, and like it just feels a bit, I don't know, it just feels difficult, and pushing, like, I don't know, like pushback like that, where it's like, and people saying things about you that aren't true, like, oh, you support Israel because you don't want to engage in like anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, is crazy to me, because normally when I deal with someone like that, it's not like a chat full of morons, it's like one person who says something. But I guess like as well, it's not that you haven't made videos about controversial people, right, as well, because you've spoken about people like Myron Gaines and like all of...
Myron Gaines is not someone you're going to get pushback from. Like, you're not like Myron Gaines. Okay. All right. So I already know what's happening on this. So just to be clear, Myron Gaines is a slam dunk for the most part in her sphere. It's a slam dunk in my sphere. It's a slam dunk hit, right? That's the thing about Myron Gaines, especially now. He's like weaker than he's ever been before. There was never going to be any like meaningful pushback that she was ever going to get about fucking Myron Gaines. Ethan's different though, because Ethan, she thought it was a slam dunk, but it turned out to not be. What the fuck, dude?
Of these people, who are really controversial, horrible figures, right?
Yeah, I mean, that one was very interesting, because I thought it would be very funny to wear a shirt in that video that said ban male podcasts. This recent incident definitely has me feeling that way as well. Wow,
what a laugh.
Yeah, and people were very angry at that sort of snarky t-shirt, and So I definitely got a flood of hate comments, but it wasn't something that I took seriously, because because it didn't matter. It wasn't like it wasn't in your sphere, and it didn't matter to you. Like Myron was still an easy slam dunk for her, which is fine. Like, it's funny to make fun of Myron, but the Ethan thing is more contentious because he's in the right, generally speaking. Like, you know, they were bad. They weren't they weren't attacking my character. They weren't digging into
Yes.
any little clip they could take out of context to call
What?
me a pedophile because I have stuffed animals
Nobody called her a fucking
in
pedophile.
my background, or
And just to be clear, she insinuated that Ethan and Hila were pedophiles. So if they actually did do that, that you deserve that because that's what you did to them. That was just them matching your energy.
I go after my research, which is something that I spend weeks on and take very seriously. And again,
I thought that you had some researcher that spent that time on. I'm a little confused. What happened? I could have swore she said that she had her own researcher. Why has the narrative changed already?
do you want to really
Okay.
engage in a serious manner? Okay, how can I do better research? How can I, if
You said you didn't even do the research. You said you had somebody do the research for you. I'm confused. But by the way, she just referenced to Snark Reddit.
someone has any criticism of that, I do want to take it seriously. So I do think this threw me for a loop in that sense. Because again, if there's Myron Gaines fans and they want to say they didn't like my video because I'm a dumb bitch, it's like, okay, I'm not going to take that as seriously. Yeah, I think that, but again, your work, it sounds a lot different because it's, I feel like you're in this sort of, I mean, not sort of, you're in a very intellectual field. And I think that people that try and engage with it in an intellectual manner kind of fall short, maybe. And that can kind of cause a lot of insecurity in different people, a lot of anger, a lot of, and
Yes.
I've noticed when that happens and people get defensive, it causes them to sort of reflect that onto you. And I don't want to say that happened with this situation. Again, I'm not saying
Yes, you do. What? Oh my God.
that because I think I handled a lot of things terribly, which is what a lot of this conversation I
What? The fact that you got everything wrong.
want that to be, so that people can learn from me. But I also think that maybe a lot
I love that. I wanna acknowledge that so people can learn from you. Nobody's gonna learn from you. Stop pretending that like your mistakes are something that are like so. Oh my God, so many people can learn from me. No, nobody gives a fuck.
of the backlash from the H3 fans was them not wanting to look inward at their sort of crumbling H3 empire and the fact that they are so isolated and,
Oh my God.
you know, not wanting to reflect on the sort of outward opinion. I don't know, you know, like again, a lot
Jesus Christ. I don't want to say that's what the H3 was doing, but that's basically what H3 was doing.
of people on the outside were like, oh, this video was very balanced. Again, when
Nobody said. What are you talking about? The snarkers. What I find interesting here is that we're in a spot where like, you think that H3 fans are all crazy, but like, Snark isn't. Like, you know, this is a pretty toxic sphere, I guess, in general. You know, W toxicity. So yeah, you know what? Snark is fucking insane. Even if you think that, even you think that Ethan's crew is insane too, wouldn't it just be both sides that were insane? Because H3 fans are kind of insane. You're all knowing as fuck. No, I'm just kidding. But like, this is a weird area of the online world where like it is very petty on both sides. It is significantly worse from the Snark side, in my opinion. But it's petty on both sides. So like I don't understand. Like she's just doubling down that like, oh, the Snark is right now. That's all that's happening here.
the H3 fan base is like, oh, you didn't do a lot of research. I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. But on the other side,
What?
when they talk about
You what?
Ethan's blackface and they're like, well, they're sort of defending his blackface and saying, well, you didn't look at our side of things and how he didn't really do that. I'm like, well, actually, since that video, there's been a lot more instances of their blackface that have come to view. And
Oh, really? Like what? What other instances of their blackface have come? Because my understanding, it was a makeup thing. And you want to know what? Even if they were doing like some kind of weird, trying to joking blackface at the time, I don't care. Because they weren't trying to be disrespectful to black people. And it was like a different time where shit was a lot edgier. I'm not even shitting my pants over that. So.
and I could have provided a lot more of that. Or same thing with, you know, me not doing enough research. I agree. I could have researched the entire Snark lawsuit and gone into how Ethan has continually harassed the Snark moderators.
Harass the Snark moderator, the people who sent him human skulls? Or, excuse me, I don't know if they explicitly sent... Well, no, actually, they probably did. The Snark was the one who's, like, obviously, just like in general, some kind of Snark fan sent them human skulls. That's just the reality of the world here. Sorry, there's no other explanation. It's somebody in that community. So... like, what about that? What about CPS? I don't understand. It's so weird. If you send some human skulls and CPS to somebody's house, apparently you're not like you're getting harassed if they fight back.
Gone after them, tried to sue them, tried to get them to, you know, subpoena their information so that he could somehow link them to the people that he's, you know, doing a lawsuit for copyright infringement. You know, Denim's, Caseytron, Frogan. I could have gone into that as well. How he refuses to let any of that go. I could have.
Why would he let it go? They watched maliciously. What's to let go? It's in lawsuit. Like, why would he let it go? What the fuck?
Done a lot more research in that aspect, and so I think that I agree with them on the other side of things. And a lot of times when they say things like, "Oh, he's apologized for his slurs," where are those apologies? I'd like to see clips of those. I would like to see those extensive.
Oh, I thought you were a researcher. Why wouldn't you be able to find that? He's talked about it all the time. This is what I'm talking about. It's so funny. She's like, I'm a researcher. I'm a real researcher, guys. I do all the real research. But I need you to send me everything, by the way. Yeah, that's how this is like the proof that you use Snark as like your research, because like you just read through anti-Ethan pages and anti-Ethan forums because you're too fucking lazy to actually try to find anything. Like, this is just like the fucking proof. You look so fucking stupid now. What are you talking about, dude? I'd like to see those things. So do the research. What the fuck? Like, why not reach out to him specifically and ask him for the clips? I mean, there's so many different avenues that you can engage in.
Clips, because just saying a comment of, "Oh, he's apologized," where are they? I haven't seen it.
Why haven't you looked into it yourself?
I haven't seen an extensive clip.
And
a lot of those are hidden. Sorry, I was gonna say.
Sorry, she hasn't seen a what?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen an extensive clip.
Okay. She hasn't seen an extensive clip. Just to be clear, that's her admitting she's seen the apologies. She just hasn't seen an extensive clip. It's not enough for her. That's what we're actually hearing here.
A lot of those are hidden. Sorry, I was going to say a lot of those are hidden behind membership platforms. So if you, that's where I think the echo chamber happens, where everything's hidden behind a paywall. And if he wants to, have something that's accessible for people for research, it should be available for.
There's no real reason to continuously there's no reason for Ethan to continuously bother apologizing. These people are fucking dumb as hell. It's so boring. At a certain point, I think Ethan just has to stop engaging with this community of people. It becomes so fucking boring. Like, holy shit. They're just like, they're so weaselly and they don't matter, you know?
For all. Instead, he's creating more of an echo chamber where he thinks that his audience thinks one narrative because it's all hidden behind a paywall and not.
You know, you're so right.
Not accessible to all. So, but yeah, anyway, sorry.
Also, I think it's kind of like the Elon Musk Nazi salute. If you asked Ethan today, go on then, put fake tan on in that way as a joke. Do it now. Make a video called The Black Challenge where you cover your face in charcoal. Do it now. See how people interpret it. Do it. If you think that was like, that was not the joke of it. And also, I think it's like just watching him.
I don't think it's anything. So just to be clear, the worst case scenario that how you want to propose it is that Ethan might have done blackface, put it on like black face paint, or excuse me, black makeup on. It was a black face mask, like one of those, like, I think, pulls your boogers out of your face, whatever, makes your skin smooth or something. The worst case scenario is that he did it, but he didn't say anything mocking black people, right? That's the worst case scenario. And you're comparing that to like a legitimate Heil Hitler from Elon Musk. Okay, gotcha.
Say like,
but they're not even close to comparable.
No. These actually, like, this wasn't it. We did the white challenge as well. We did all of these other things. What there is to say is, at that same time, you were also regularly saying the N-word. And I believe there are points at which he's like, oh, I shouldn't have said that and I shouldn't have done that. But like, there's also this dissonance of like, maybe
you're admitting that he said that before? What?
Someone might actually point to this and be like, hey, it was kind of weird that you were doing all those things years ago.
Nobody cares that he was saying those things years ago. You guys just, they care just as much as you guys care that Hassan was making jokes about, like, what was it? The like weird kid jokes or whatever, or like red pill shit. None of you guys care at all. None of you guys care. You guys don't give a shit about any of this. You pretend to care. It's virtue signaling.
Now you're still like,
you guys are basically sitting here saying like, yeah, I've seen the apologies, but it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. Okay, this is so boring.
Oh, but it's not that. It's not that. It isn't that. It isn't that. Even though you have admitted, that you said these words quite regularly, and that and of course on YouTube at that time it was more acceptable to be doing them. But also, you're a 40-year-old. 40-year-old?
Wasn't he like late 20s? What?
You're a 40-year-old, so you were 30 then. And I think everyone has the excuse of fucking up when they're in their early teens, late teens, even early 20s, kind of maybe not early 20s as much, actually, I'd say. I think it's really a time for growing and changing at that point, because you probably experienced something more than just the school and, high
Can't wait for this horribly unnuanced take.
School and whatever that you went to, and you've probably been out into the world.
But you were 30 years old. How were you saying those things at 30? You don't have an excuse, bro. Where the line was on YouTube was edgy. And there was a debate about using like words, like slurs, and like, hey, they're just words. Who cares? It was stupid, but that's how people felt. So at the time, comparatively, they were like on the line.
But
okay, it's not like they were making a mistake. That was where the line was back then. unfortunately. So it's not one of those things where he made a mistake. So, well, he did. It's not really a mistake compared to the time that they were in. They were on that edgier sphere where, like, really we were just starting to have conversations about, like, the way to interact with different words. Like, oh, how should we say the N word? Like, oh, isn't it just a word? Blah, blah, blah. Like, we're being fucking stupid. Everybody was stupid socially. Oh, yeah. Like the public debate's out there. Is this okay? You know, it's not. And we've come to those terms. And here you go. Ethan's be like, hey, that's a bad word. I shouldn't have done that. Like, it's not that. Nobody cares that much. I'm sorry, but nobody's really that worked up over it. You know?
I think that like the like ultimate thing as well is like how has the actual experience been of, I don't know, like the kind of harassment and like what has that been for you, if you're happy to talk about it?
That's why she's there, so of course she is.
It really depends on the day today, I think. And
today I'm feeling really good because now everybody's saying that I'm right.
How much I'm willing to shut it out or engage with it. I think when everything first happened, again, it was a new experience for me, as I kind of mentioned, and
you always went after easy targets, and that's what you thought this was, yeah?
I was really surprised. I was kind of talking about this with my editor, who, I've been working with for forever, and one of the most upsetting aspects is and also most hilarious is they tried to claim that my team is like a team of snarkers, and you know, I didn't have any involvement. They're the snarkers.
I guess like exclusively reference Snark, so yeah.
Which is hilarious to me because they're two dudes, one in the UK, one in Australia, who I have been working with for almost 5 years at this point. And
what makes it ridiculous, though?
Almost 5 years, right? Okay. 4.5. But anyways, so my editor, I was kind of talking about this, and when all of this happened, I was just kind of.
What makes it ridiculous that would be snarkers? Like, I mean, Ethan is a pretty big content creator. And it's not weird to say that like terminally online individuals will either be pro Ethan or anti Ethan. So what makes it ridiculous?
Surprised, and yeah, just wanting to understand, because I really thought most people would understand. I was really surprised by the fact that there would be any sort of confusion on Palestine or any sort of divide. I thought most people were kind of in agreement that what Israel was doing is fucked up. And
I'm sorry. I can't take stuff like that seriously from her, because in her video, like I think her first response was that like she wasn't educated enough about Israel-Palestine to have an opinion, while claiming that she cared. And it's like, it's been 2 years. Yes, if you haven't drawn the conclusion if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But if you haven't come to the conclusion that Israel had a massively disproportionate response and is genociding people in Gaza, if you don't have that opinion, like, you obviously don't care about what's going on. She didn't have that opinion because she didn't know what the fuck was going on. And again, it's fine, but now she's going to pretend like, oh, wait, actually. It just makes you sound so dumb. Yeah, guys, I just decided not to educate myself on this thing. Oh, why? Well, by the way, it's really bad. Oh, how do you know? You know, what are you talking about?
And I guess the flood of comments that were saying that what I had said was anti-Semitic.
Well, yeah, she said something along the lines of that, like Ethan had like it was something weird about him being Israeli, like some kind of programming. It was fucking crazy. It absolutely came off as anti-Semitic.
That just completely disagreed with my stance. I was very confused on that, and just from a sort of morbid.
I can tell you're confused now.
Curiosity was reading comments and messages, wanting to understand what their viewpoint was and how they had gotten to such
I just want to understand
divide. And then also just in my personal life, I think I mentioned this to you. I had a neighbor who I respect greatly, who's a journalist, a writer, who after
Is it Taylor Lorenz?
Everything had come over and
programmed at birth. Yeah, that was like fucking crazy.
Sort of lectured me about how that's maybe harsh. Again, I feel bad because
She said she's a Hassan fan, but didn't know about the genocide since October 7th. That makes sense. Because nobody's a Hassan fan for his politics. Everybody's a Hassan fan for all the provocative clips that he puts up online.
Apart from this, he identifies as a feminist, has invited me to a lot of book clubs.
And like realistically speaking, it's more likely that she's just a fan of Hassan because she's afraid of not appearing to be correct. I mean, when she was sitting there talking about how afraid she was of Ethan fans and her responses, she was just exclusively talking about how she would say, I'm afraid of Ethan and his fans, and then bring up Snark stuff. Like, she would bring up like how bad Empanada was criticizing her. So she would like say it was Ethan, but then she would bring up everybody but Ethan. Like, it was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's very clear that she's afraid of like the Hassan atmosphere, and that's why she has these opinions, because she feels like these are the opinions she's supposed to have. That's it. And Ethan is still safer to hate than Hassan, obviously.
And it's just, but just about how, she had taken a trip to the Middle East and felt that everywhere else, the Middle East was incredibly racist to her, and Israel was a great country to her. Again, white, blonde woman.
What was she like? Okay.
Not a Jewish individual, but had felt that
okay,
Israel was so great, and
they probably don't really like foreigners in other countries. It's not. I'm not surprised. And then they would be more accepting. Like, Israel is a more progressive state than pretty much any other Middle Eastern country, and a lot of that is abundance. I mean, well, we have an influence on them as America. And so they're generally going to be nicer because of that. But then part of it's just like financial abundance. You're not going to expect, Palestinian people to be like super welcoming in a country where they're being fucking starved. You know what I mean? Like, they don't exactly have it in their mental to have compassion for other people, because no one has compassion for them, and they're still trying to, fucking survive themselves. So, like, yes, that would be the take to have. Like, yeah, it might be nicer for people in Israel, but it's because they have the means to be nicer. When you have more like financial and like food abundance, you have the ability to reach outside of your like bubble. That's why I'm such a nice guy, because I'm so rich. No, I'm just kidding. We all know rich people are super nice. No, but you know what I'm saying. That's it. But I wonder if she could understand that. I doubt it.
Essentially, that.
Yeah.
I was terrible for my viewpoints that I had, spoken of in my video. Essentially, just to boil it down. And so
I don't understand what she's saying. What are you saying?
I was just very bewildered by that and wanted to understand that aspect. And yeah, of course there was the harassment. Of course there was the hate. The people saying that I did terrible research. And the people that were also just calling me a Nazi, photoshopping Auschwitz in the background of photos of me.
That's kind of funny. But I mean, listen, not for nothing. It's one of those things where she didn't acknowledge how terrible people are to Ethan and how they're anti-Semitic. But then she fucking censors the swastika sword, and it's like, okay, what are you doing? Like, what the? My favorite thing was there was a comment there, and they probably meant well, and I get that. But I was like, yeah, why'd you center the swastika sword? And they're like, well, it's not a swastika. It's like it's like a symbol of like hope or something in Hindu, I think, or something like that. And it's like, yeah, thank you for explaining dog whistles. Do you think that the people who use that symbol are trying to be like, oh, I like hope? Or do you think they're trolling? There's like clips of Hassan saying he bought the sword because he thought it was a swastika. He thought it was funny. Like, I don't understand. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? It's like you guys are willfully ignorant at this point. And stop. Knock it off, Racism. Knock it off.
Things of that nature, but
knock it off.
I think that was the.
I'm telling you, though, I'm gonna tell you one thing though. I didn't really want to do more Ethan Hassan Destiny stuff, but like, I'm enjoying this segment so far.
The strangest aspect to me to sort of understand, because at this point, with how much things have escalated, with how many with the genocide that's happening, how many Palestinians have died, how could people still feel this way?
Feel what way? I'm not understanding.
What I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. What did she clarify? What way? What way are you talking about?
And I went on the podcast to essentially try and see if I humanized myself, if I
everything's a test, guys.
Tried to show that
was I a good enough person?
Was trying to understand where my research went wrong, but also have a real conversation, like a real human being, to Ethan, if his audience would even be willing to take that in. And there were essentially a few days where there was a bit of a confusion within the audience. I got a few kind messages from H3 fans that were essentially like, welcome to the family, which isn't not a cult at all, but welcome to the family. I really...
Was she saying that sarcastically? It's not a cult at all. Okay, stop. It's not a cult. Stop. I didn't say that.
Liked hearing you speak. I really liked your story on this, or I like that you went on the podcast, had the bravery to do so. I liked hearing that you were willing to learn about this, or that you admitted that you were wrong on that, whatever it was. And then after a few days, it's almost like they were kind of put back in line. And
Put back
And
in line.
essentially,
What the fuck does that mean?
I was a Nazi again, I'm anti-Semitic, and they don't like me because I didn't fully take down the video. The goalpost shifted. And
Well, yeah, but you got so many different things like incorrect that you even admitted to. So why would you keep the video up?
they, essentially went on attack again. My husband calls them the flying monkeys, not me.
Whoa.
I'm reporting what
That's fucked up. I mean, a lot of Ethan's fans are black, so it's kind of fucked up that you would say that, honestly. I think that people need to realize that this woman is obviously that was a racist dog whistle that she just shot out there. That's kind of disgusting, if you ask me.
but someone else has called them, because essentially they will, whatever is iterated by Ethan, it feels like after a while they'll sort of disseminate that attack, and that's really sad.
It's just so weird to me because like people, it's just so weird. It's just so strange. Like you guys act like Ethan's fans are like the fucking craziest motherfuckers in the entire world. They're really not that fucking threatening. I've said things disagreeable to Ethan, and like I haven't gotten like any meaningful backlash. I've gotten Ethan being upset with me, and that's it. And it really doesn't even matter. That's not that fucking deep, dude. But you guys take the criticism to like the next level. You guys go fucking ballistic with your like hatred of it. Like that's what it is. You guys go fucking like insane. But these people like they're really not that fucking crazy at all. You guys are just so fucking just shitty and mean about like the way that you talk about him. You're so bad faith on everything. Everything is like apocalypse when this guy does something wrong. It's fucking ridiculous.
Add to me, I think that there is a divide of opinions, but after a while, they're all sort of put back in line within this echo chamber of the H3 subreddit, and that's really concerning to me.
What about the echo chamber of Snark that you heavily referenced?
And I think that a lot of fears that they're having, a lot of is sort of being used against them. So
What?
Well, I think that, like, on this topic of just sort of claiming that the entirety of the reason that people are upset with Ethan boils down specifically to an anti-Semitic hatred is a really dangerous idea, because you are perhaps convincing... Well, no, you are. You're convincing people who don't know as much about Judaism, who don't know as much about Israel, that the reason that people are doing this to Ethan is because they're, anti-Semitic monsters. They're every...
Yeah, I don't know if it's explicitly because they're anti-Semitic. They just love Hassan. And they will do whatever Hassan says. That's it. It's not that fucking crazy. The real thing that the people don't like about Ethan is that he, like, and I don't think that they know how to articulate it, but it's that he's, like, petty. That's it. He's a petty guy sometimes. And so people find that off-putting, and they haven't articulated that. That's it.
Everyone who has a problem with Ethan does not actually lie with his behavior, with his conduct, but actually because they're snarkers who just hate him and want to ruin him and his family's lives.
That's certainly a lot of them. They sent them human skulls, so...
There's also, this very real element of he is one of the biggest content creators on YouTube in terms of having a podcast, because the amount he hosts it and all of these things. And on multiple occasions, he himself...
Didn't she say that he was, like, unsuccessful before, and now you're giving him props for being very successful?
...has admitted that he has said things about Palestine which were unacceptable.
Oh, shit. You mean he said that he did things wrong and bad, and that he was being stupid sometimes? Weren't you guys talking about how he never apologizes earlier? Bro, you guys can't keep consistent from point to point. Yeah, she goes, Ethan hasn't apologized in any... What did she say? She said something like long form capacity. Like, where are the long form clips where he goes into explicit detail? That was what it was. Like she was looking for that. Then it's like, yeah, he doesn't apologize correctly. Yeah, even though Ethan's apologized for saying dumb shit about Palestine. Yeah, it's like, where are we? Does he apologize? Does he not apologize? Where are we right now? You guys just sound like unhinged lunatics. Like, I truly think that, and I truly think, and I don't mean to be, like, annoying and pushy, but I truly think that, like, Ethan could, like, lapse the fuck out of this entire Israel-Palestine conflict if he just, like, focused on expanding his outer sphere. He has a very strong core audience, but then there's, like, his outer sphere, like, that brand awareness stuff, like the TikTok, the Instagram, all that stuff that they really don't put, in my opinion, enough clips about the show on. If they really just focused on that, putting out everything else, it's, like... They talk about so much more than Israel-Palestine. Talk less about these fucking people. Just do regular old stuff. There's so many things to talk about. And, like, put those clips out there and generate an audience. And, like, yeah, well, people will be annoying. Like, Israel, blah, 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 blah. Block those people on TikTok. Just moderate your fucking TikTok. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who cares? Stop apologizing because you've apologized enough and, people know or they don't. And just move on. And just, like, actually put yourself out there. I really think that there's so much left for them to do. I know that, like, people get pissed off when I say this. Yeah, I'm coming off a bit annoying and pushy. Sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. You know, but it's like he could lapse these people. So I mean, he already has lapsed them, but you understand what I mean. Like he could really pull himself out of this whole fucking Israel Palestine shit. They really should just like focus on that, because I know there's like a self-conscious aspect of it of like, oh, people hate us and we don't want to do it. I think it's time to get back to that like expansion point. You know what I mean? Just push through it, and I really do think it would come. You know.
And yet, even when he was talking to you, he was like, what you've got to understand is this is all anti-Semitism. This is all a Snark campaign against me. Rather than the fact that there has been a huge amount of people who have actually come out and said, I don't know how to feel about this. That, like, this is not okay. And that a lot of these people do like Ethan and have liked him for a very long time.
They like him. They still like him. They just mean so well.
But all of a sudden have said, actually, we don't feel comfortable with this. And, you know, some of it is to do with a shift on public perception of Palestine and
They do all kinds of shit. They just did a What's in the Box challenge yesterday, but you're not exactly reacting to shit like that because of it's no use to you. Bro, you don't... I'm going to fucking melt down. I swear to God. Holy fuck. Sorry. I'm going to get triggered. I get so triggered when we talk about this. And I think it's my fault because, like, I talk to you guys like you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay, and so it triggers the fuck out of me. I know you mean well. You're a longtime viewer, so I'm going to try not to get triggered. Okay, Sam, I love you. Okay, I'm not going to get triggered. I'm already triggered, but it's my fault. Okay, maybe I'm not communicating very clearly. Maybe I'm not communicating very clearly. Give me a second. Let me be explicitly clear about what I am talking about as a content creator. And by the way, I'm going to fucking brag here a little bit. A content creator, okay, who even Caleb Hammer himself said that I should charge people for helping them get through controversy. Okay, and I respect Caleb. He has over 2 million followers, and obviously there's something about me that he's like, wow, that I can appreciate and respect things. Okay, just to be clear, I'm gonna throw that out there. I got some credibility. This right here, this right here, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Snapchat Spotlights, Twitter, short form platforms, Facebook, whatever they call their reels. It's everybody. These are probably the second most important things that you should be talking about. You have a core audience, right? Ethan has a core audience. And then you have an outer audience. The short form shit is really, at the end of the day, the biggest thing that's going to help you stand out and pull an audience in, and also to reframe your narrative that people have against you, which is all short form criticisms. Everything that, like, TikTok has a bunch of like Ethan Snark bullshit. What I'm saying is, they need to flood the fucking algorithm with the good content that they take from their show and flood it onto TikTok. Clips, flood it onto TikTok. I'm not saying they don't do TikTok shit. Excuse me, I'm not saying that they don't have other things that they talk about. I'm saying that nobody knows about it because they don't see it on short form platforms. That's what I'm talking about, dude. They don't put themselves out there. Okay? This is what I'm talking about. Okay? I know they do other stuff. This is important. This is like the most important thing out there. This is your literal advertisement. This is like your huge thing. And I think I could talk about TikTok because I have a pretty successful one. Okay, some of my shit doesn't do well. I don't care. Some of it does do well. I put out like 4 clips a day, right? These are from today. This is from yesterday. These 4. These did pretty well. Some of them didn't do too hot. Who cares? It's fucking shorts. These 4. This one did pretty well. The day before that, these are 4. This day wasn't great. Ignore that day. The day before that, pretty good. This has 400K. The day before that, we got 100K on this one. We got, you know what I mean? Like, this is what you have to do. There's 4 million from like 5 days ago. This is what you need to do. You fucking dump clips of your fucking content onto socials. Some of it doesn't hit. Some of it hits 4 million views. That's what you need to do. And this is what gets people to, like, this is your outer atmosphere that goes like, oh, I actually like this person, even if they don't engage with your core. And then some of them are more likely to engage with your core content. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm fucking crashing out. This is what needs to be the focus. He has like 45 fucking people working for the show. And by the way, I know they all do the right thing. I'm telling you, like, he doesn't direct them to do enough of this. This obviously is going to boost the views for your shit, but also it reframes the public narrative. If snarkers keep talking about Israel-Palestine, but Ethan every day is talking about some fun thing he did here, there, all of a sudden he becomes more than Israel-Palestine. That's what he's locked into. He's locked into the Snark narrative on like social media that he is just an Israel-Palestine meanie guy. Put stuff out there. Pump it out. Okay? That's what I'm saying. I'm crashing the fuck out. All right? This is what you have to do. You have to pump this. This is what they're missing. Doing non-Israel Palestine content, which they already do. Not paying attention to fucking losers like this. And just fucking pumping out entertaining clips. At least one a day. I would say 3 a day, frankly, from their show. That's what I would say that they need to do. That's what I'm talking about. Specifically. Hopefully I've cleared it up. Flood the algorithm with clips. It doesn't have to be good. This algorithm is so forgiving for dookie shit content that nobody cares about. You can post and get 100 views one day and then 100 million views the next day. Not that crazy. But like, it is true. Like this day that was like weak for me, of these 4 clips that I put out there, these clips were all at 100 views for some reason. The day before I had hit 400,000. The next day, the algorithm hated me. I got 100 views on all these videos until they finally hit the algorithm a little bit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When people say I fell off on TikTok because I had a low view thing, it's a clip for a fucking video. Okay? Right now, we're doing very well. Okay, I'm you know what I mean? This is the best I've ever done. I'm not worried about somebody saying I fell off because I got 1,000 views on a Bo Black's clip. Now, the next day, the first clip I got did pretty well. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You just flood the algorithm, experiment, have fun, put stuff out there. Put out 15-second clips, put out 3-minute clips. Bro, look at this. This is a fucking 4 million view. Hey guys, so this is an 8.5-minute video on TikTok with 4 million views.
Socialism and
you could do so much. Okay, you could do so much to like really change things around. That's what I'm talking about, dude. Okay? So I feel like I had to be explicit because I know that like it's difficult because I'm a content creator, and so I think I have a pretty good understanding of content creation and the content strategy. You know, I might only have 90,000 TikTok viewers or whatever, but like the Papa Gut does very well financially. Okay? The brand itself, I have an editor that I pay, I think, decently. You know, time goes on, probably more decently. Let's be fucking real. Okay? I think I know what the fuck I'm doing. All right? This is what I'm saying. This is what Ethan needs to do. And you could be like, well, Papa God, Ethan's like fucking 25 times bigger than you. Yeah, exactly. He's very attached to that. And you want to know what? I grew up through these platforms with this having to be part of the content strategy. I need to put clips out there to get attention. Ethan doesn't need that because he's so big. But now it's like, okay, the content strategy 10 years ago was like, if you're popular, you got an audience, and you're doing well. There's so many people trying to be content creators now. There's so many people trying to take up the attention marketplace. This is what you have to do. This is what he has to do. That's what I'm saying, okay? I'm fucking crashing out. I went on a long-ass rant. I don't care. Eat my balls. Okay? So there you go. Sorry. I feel like I needed to say that. I just feel like I needed to say that. Okay? All right? Maybe I'm feeling a little self-conscious, but like I know what I'm talking about despite being a smaller creator. I am a creator that most other creators want to be. I'm not trying to be a fucking dickhead, but most of these like other people on like TikTok and shit, they wish that they were like doing as well as I am. I'm not sitting here like bragging, but I'm like a successful established creator. Like that's like I have enough of a hold on this to go like, hey, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I am bigger than Ethan, that's true. Like hundreds of pounds. Okay? Okay. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm being a little self-conscious. That's why I said that last part, but I'm just saying. Okay? I know what the fuck I'm talking about. All right? Anyway, back to the video.
Public knowledge.
I'm crashing out too much.
Going on there.
I'm crashing out too much.
Also, it's ultimately having to actually confront what he believes on Palestine. The second that it became difficult to think about, actually, you know what, like, to actually confront what he believes on Palestine. The second that it became difficult to think about, actually, you know what, like, maybe Palestinian liberation comes above the feelings that I'm experiencing.
But didn't you just say that he admitted that he was wrong sometimes about some of the things he said about Palestine? So, like, what?
Found it nigh on impossible, or the criticism that I am experiencing. And I think, like, on this topic, of course, no one wants to be accused of being an anti-Semite because, obviously, in terms of extermination of human beings, we're taught and we're told that the anti-Semites have done some of the most abhorrent things in history. Like,
we're taught and we're told? They did. Like, anti-Semites have done some of the most horrific shit in history. Why would you say that we were taught those things and not say that they did those things unless you're trying to cast doubt on that? What?
Many people view all extermination through just the lens of the Holocaust. They don't really know about other things. They don't really
That's a fair thing, but like, what?
be accused of being an anti-Semite, because obviously in terms of extermination of human beings, we're taught and we're told that the anti-Semites have done some of the most abhorrent things in history.
They have done some of the most abhorrent things in history. Why did you say that they were taught that and not that that is true? Now, it is also true that we haven't been taught other horrible, equally horrible things that have gone on in human history. That's true. I think that a lot of this is, we'll say to an extent, Western guilt of, like, to an extent, kind of allowing the atrocities of Israel-Palestine to happen. Or, excuse me, Israel-Palestine. Those are an atrocity, too. We should have guilt over that. But, like, of World War II to happen, you know? Or maybe it's because it was other white people that were, you know, nay-nayed. So we're like, oh, that's more important to us, which it shouldn't be. Like, historically, we should learn about more stuff than that. But, like, why would you just say that we're taught that, and not that that is a truth?
Like, many
unless you're trying to, like, dog whistle that we don't necessarily need to care as much about that.
people view all extermination through just the lens of the Holocaust. They don't really know about other things. They don't really have any thoughts about. There was even, I can't remember who said this, but they said it is interesting that we bear in mind. It might be Boaz Everon. I'll see if I can find it. 1 second.
I mean, on that note, when Hila was trying to talk to me about how she didn't fully say she disavowed Rudy Giuliani's statements. I think it was Ethan that said that. But what I was trying to express was essentially, if you have the past that Hila has, you sort of need to, if you hear a statement like Rudy Giuliani's that, you know, the Palestinians are taught at 2 years old to
They literally their argument for that was that, like, Hila was like heard something AB said and was still considering that. What?
kill American citizens. You need to fully say, hey, that's fucked up and not true. And
Well, they have said that upon clarification. Okay. Incredible.
and go with, you know, with your full chest or full voice, disavow that statement. To just sit there and kind of silently say, I mean, and shake your head. First off, that is a comment. It is a comment. You know,
So then why didn't you just say that on the podcast? How come you, like, walked away from that? Why don't you, like, this is like the biggest thing here is, like, why were you such a coward about this then? Like, why not just say all these things on the podcast? If you think that Hila and Ethan are big pieces of shit, that's fine. Like, whatever, say that to them. Say that to their face. But you're like, actually, you know, like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be a coward about it. Just fucking own your shit and say whatever you want to say.
you know, it is a comment, but also it's not speaking out enough. It is not.
You didn't even know about Israel-Palestine until, like, yesterday because you didn't bother to educate yourself on it. Why are you pretending that you care?
Blatantly, if you have a past where you grew up in Israel and you are fully aware of what Israelis are taught from a young age about Palestinians, you have the knowledge. You actually have a great depth of knowledge, which you could use to speak out and educate people about what is happening in a positive way.
It's just so funny to me. Like, she literally didn't even know about what was going on. She admitted as much until, like, yesterday, and now she's sitting here fucking virtue signaling about how good of a person she is.
Teach people about the genocide that's happening and help with what's happening and the pro-Palestinian movement. Instead, she is silent when it matters most. She is, I mean, shaking her head, not disavowing with complete, you know, sincerity and clarity. And instead, she gets defensive when others accuse her of being a little bit, not a little bit, Zionistic.
What? Shouldn't she get defensive over that? Wouldn't she want to get defensive over that? Wouldn't it be a bad indication if she didn't get offended if people thought that she was a Zionist? That doesn't even make sense.
I don't know if that's a full phrase, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I like being a bit of a
yeah, well, this is another instance. Whatever, this person is just another instance of, like, boyfriend politics. Like, oh, whatever my boyfriend thinks, and apparently her online boyfriend is Hassan Parker, and that's where she, like, as long as he thinks something, that's what she's going to think uncritically.
This would be the term I'd use, but yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, that is how I feel. I forgot I was going to say something else, but yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, you know,
I
I deleted the clip of them saying that because in my video, because if they're gonna, especially I think again, Hila did not fully, but I extended the will, I guess, in good grace. If they're gonna say, they disagree with Rudy Giuliani's statements, fair enough. I'll delete that. But that's.
Oh, so they did say it. Oh, you're like all over the place here.
That's my.
I love how this video is. She constantly says this thing like, "Oh, I need to learn as a creator." She's been not around for 5 years, by the way. But then I guess when other people make mistakes, they don't have the opportunity to learn from them, their mistakes, even if they say they made a mistake or that you made a mistake on how you represented them, or like it's interesting. Interesting cognitive dissonance.
A statement on that. You have an opportunity, with your past, Ethan as well, living in Israel, you have the education and experience of knowing what is being taught in Israel.
Well, yeah, he was telling Trisha Paytas about what Israel was doing to Palestine was horrible on frenemies before October 7th. So I think that he's probably done that more. But okay,
what they're saying, what is done over there in ways that many Americans are not experiencing right now, which is very important knowledge, I think, for right now. And instead, you are silent and you do not speak out about that aspect. And I think that could be very.
What are you talking about?
Important education.
Yeah,
they have. What are you? You're just saying words. Stop.
I mean, I think that this ultimately taps into the problem, which is if you actually look at what Hila specifically thinks about Palestine, it's not really very congruent. And I think that
what does she think about Palestine?
Also, I think appreciating the full significance of that statement is not even something I did when I previously talked about it, because you can see that actually pretty much everyone else there has a strong reaction to it. But that is the kind of rhetoric that leads to the killing of children in Gaza. That's not like some crazy thing. Like Israeli soldiers say, well, all Palestinians are terrorists. And there are, maybe even if every government official in Israel doesn't believe that, there are a considerable amount of them who do. There is Israel's finance minister said of Palestinian children that he didn't want his wife to give birth next to Arabs because they were birthing the next generation of his enemies.
That's terrible. That's terrible stuff. I don't like that.
Enemies. And this is how the kind of rhetoric that leads to the killing of children becomes prominent, becomes comes to fruition. How killing massive amounts of people is no longer just something that's unimaginable.
So, I mean, again, I think Hila was just like misspoke and was like focusing on something else at the time. That's their argument. And frankly, I think that they're generally pretty honest people. So I take their word for it. But if everyone else on the show is like, yeah, this guy's an idiot, but Hila doesn't speak out like harshly enough against it, like, what does that communicate to you? Like, you're acting like she's in an atmosphere of people who are like hate Israeli people, or hate Palestinian people, but she's not. Like, I'm pretty sure, like fucking AB is he's like an Arabic person, right? It's like they hire people that are farther left than they are. Some would call them too woke. Alex Eviction called Olivia too woke, which I think is terrible, but who constantly speak out against things. So even if she didn't speak out harshly enough in the way that you wanted her to, there's 100 other people that express their opinion on the podcast that are more pro-Palestine either way. So they get themselves checked even if they aren't pro-Palestinian enough. Like, you guys can't pretend that they hate Palestinian people and then hire a bunch of people who are fucking, like fucking Arabic people or Lebanese. Well, isn't that like an Arabic person? Am I just a white ignorant? Generally speaking, Lebanese people are considered Arab. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe it's white ignorance. Either way, they're much closer to the situation. You understand my point. My point is still valid. AF, guys. Some would say. Okay? I would say it. So it's just like, you guys go through leaps and bounds. But it's like fucking crazy. You know what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous.
Makes most people balk and think, my God, how could you ever do that? Instead, all of a sudden, it is legitimate and it is justified because their children are taught to hate. And it is also the same logic which continually moves away from seeing Israel as the problem, which is ultimately the problem of kind of both of them, that they draw an equivalency between Palestinians and Israelis.
What the hell are you talking about?
Israel is the one that is a nuclear-armed superpower. Israel is the one who refuses to remove settlements from the West Bank that are illegal.
True, they do that. They call that out.
Under international law.
Yes.
Israel are the...
Ethan has literally said that he thinks that the West Bank is a valid military target. I don't understand. What do you guys want from these people? Holy fuck. Like, what do you want? Do you want to watch them throw a Star of David in the garbage? Like, what do they need to do? Like, what the fuck do they need to do, bro? Holy shit. What do these people need to do? They said that Ethan and Hila have said that they think it's valid if you shoot missiles into the West Bank because it's an illegal occupation. You guys are like, they fucking hate Palestinians, dude. What do they need to do? What do they need to do? Do they need to throw the tiny hat in the garbage? What is that? What do they have to do? What's the expectation? I don't even understand, dude. I don't know. It's what's the expectation? What do they have to do, bro?
Colonizers.
It's crazy.
78% of their of Palestinians' historic homeland in the Oslo Accords in 1993. And that wasn't enough. They still had to continue expanding settlements. They didn't instantaneously take decisions that no further Israeli government could have ever reversed by just saying there will be no more settlements, because that's not what they wanted, because that's not what it's about. They portray Palestinians as much...
Who's they? We're talking about... Who are we talking about? Are we talking about Ethan and Neil? Or are we talking about like Israel-Palestine right now? Israel right now. You know what I mean? Like what?
The problem. People whose hatred of Israel derives not from some anti-Semitic backwardness, but much rather the fact that Palestinians lived in their homes and experienced dispossession, and thus their...
Okay, but they acknowledge this. This is just posturing. You're just like over-explaining something that like they already agree with.
Recent history has been an experience of dispossession, marginalization that came at the hands of the British and the preferential treatment of the Zionist project, and then the Zionist project, and drawing an equivalency saying like, oh...
Well, yeah, I mean, there was preferential treatment of that, you know, and obviously the reason was because of, you know, the genocide. I mean, that is what the history is, you know, after a bunch of Jewish people were absolutely fucking decimated because of, you know, World War II, they wanted somewhere to settle. The UN voted to give them that area, to split it between... To split the land between like a, you know, an Arab and a Jew area in Palestine or Israel, whatever you want to call it. And then, you know, the Arab world rejected that, but you know, Western countries still just said like, nah, fuck you. We're gonna put this up here, whether you like it or not. They helped Israel establish themselves. It displaced a bunch of Palestinians, which is terrible. And now this is where we are, right? And I don't think it's unfair to say that like I understand why Jewish people want a settlement. There's been a lot of anti-Semitism historically, but that did displace a bunch of Palestinians. So there needs to be like a Palestinian land created, and then there needs to be reparations for Palestine from, frankly, United States and fucking Israel. But yeah, okay. But what do? Do we just like kick all these Israeli people out? Like, what are we doing here? We keep talking about like the specifics, or like we keep talking about the history. What are we going to do moving forward? You know, two-state solution, reparations to Palestinian people. What else can you really do? You know what I mean?
Oh, you know, there's extremists on both sides, and that's the problem, rather than saying, actually, one group of people came here and stole the land from the people who lived there.
Well, that's not really what happened. Like, I think that, I mean, if you look even further back, I mean, that land was stolen from Jewish people in the first place. But sure, it was given to them back in a time where, like, people had land disputes and they took land over. It's unfortunate stuff. It's terrible. What do we do about it moving forward?
It is.
I also think there's a reason why we don't talk about like why Israel was created in the first place. Again, because of like its genocide of 6 million Jews. I think that not talking about that is like intentional as well. I think that there is a reason that they don't talk about it, because then it gives like at least like a little understanding as to why it happened, even though it doesn't justify it. It explains it, but they don't want to talk about that part. It doesn't really help the narrative that they want to, you know, paint Israel as like all horribly bad. I'm not saying everything is amazing. I'm just saying like at the very least we should be mature enough to be able to talk about that.
Crazy, and
that's why I can, and that's why I can fully understand the issue with saying conflict in my original video, because I could see how that sort of creates that sort of equalization when that's not the case at all. And that's the importance of saying a genocide is happening right now at this.
But they've said that like a million times. So what do you want them to say?
Time particular when people are trying to, when it's so clearly not a both sides situation, people are still trying to demonize the Palestinians in whatever way they can, particularly Hamas, to create this sort of equalization.
Hamas is trying to demonize Palestinians? Is that like a Freudian slip? Or?
Well, both sides are bad.
I'm very confused. Why would Hamas? I think that she misspoke. Do you mean like Israel? Like I don't understand.
And so calling it a conflict can only lead to that. And so I can see that. I mean, that's what I forgot to say in the beginning. I was recommended to read this book and took notes of it. And I still have a lot of ways to go and in terms of education and everything, but that's some of the notes and which I told you personally. But one thing that I particularly wrote down that I thought was interesting is when speaking on the two-state solution, language like a land for two people, the peace process, the Israel-Palestine conflict, the need to stop violence on both sides, the two-state solution allows politicians to remain ineffective out of either will or necessity.
Okay, cool. So you think that there should be a what is your solution? I think a two-state solution is probably the best you're going to get. So what do you believe?
And so essentially, especially in the U.S., it feels like that sort of narrative of just,
so what do you believe in? A one-state solution? What's your solution?
Both sides are
Yeah,
bad.
she just started talking about this topic like 5 days ago. What the fuck?
Or let's create peace, and the two-state solution has sort of created this idea of just kicking the ball down the line. Is that the saying?
Yeah. Kicking the can down.
Yes, kicking the can down the road. What does that matter? So are you saying that the two-state solution is the most practical and possible implementation of something? So like there's not going to be a one-state solution. These two groups of people, regardless of the history, do not like each other very much. So they're not going to be able to coexist that way. There needs to be a two-state solution with like fucking reparations going to Palestine. What is your solution?
Kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, where it's sort of and just creating this sort of which is not the narrative at all, but it sort of it soothes the politicians who are continuing to sort of bolster up the evil that is happening. And and having any sort of verbiage like conflict can also further that as well, and that's definitely something that I fully agree with. And what was I going to say on that? Yeah, and I think that also the U.S. It plays on the U.S.'s longstanding Islamophobia and how we are we do not want to face our own Islamophobia because it would cause us to face our own wars that have been very much related to Islamophobia and have preyed on the Americans' Islamophobia rather than the reasons behind it. And so I think that all of that is sort of interconnected.
Great. Thanks for the. Got it. We don't acknowledge that we are Islamophobic. Okay.
My opinion.
Many. I think there's also a thing.
So what do you think the solution should be? I'm kind of tired of people like posturing and pretending that they give a fuck. Like say what like you think the solution should be. You don't think it's two-state solution is possible or it should be this? Like, what do you think? Why are you being a coward about it?
That you have to appreciate that many people in American and British society enjoy the killing of people that they deem as others. You hear it in their rhetoric about how,
I think it's only like an American thing. What the fuck?
These are evil, monstrous terrorists who are responsible for the violence that's inflicted upon them.
Just be clear, this is something that, like, unfortunately, humans are not the greatest people. This is like an all-society thing. We happen to be better at it because we're a larger society. I'm not going to lie about that. But, like, this is historically how everything has been. It's always just an interesting implication that, like, America is just, like, magically worse. Like, we're, like, worse people than anybody else. Like, we're the worst in the world. Everybody, unfortunately, is kind of pieces of shit historically. You know, pretty much every society has done slavery. Every society has done some form of genocide or mass killing of people. You know, we just happen to be, I guess, better at it. That's not good. But like, I don't like this insinuation that we're just like inherently worse people in the West. I think it's a little bit ignorant, especially since, like, generally speaking, Western policies are the least abusive in the entire world.
And such, rather than ever confronting, like, hang on a second, this didn't begin with this political group, and it won't end with it. And until the West takes a look in the mirror and stops trying to create a world in which there are just these evil, monstrous others who destroy the world and destabilize it, rather than confronting others who play the part in that we back up and support, and acting as if, you know, our fight for democracy is some actual true thing, rather than saying, actually, we've just interfered in the world and destroyed so many human beings' lives because it was expedient to do so for maintaining what we wanted in the world. Like, that's not, you know, we have done that over and over again throughout the history of the United Kingdom, throughout the history of America. All of these things are, like, undeniable, and it's something that happened after the fall of the Soviet Union. We needed people already had problems with Islam, but it really took off because we needed our new enemy in Western society to be like, look how bad they are. Our justification for going to war, it shifted towards the Islamic world and Muslims more generally, and even non-Muslim leaders, because it was like, well, it's expedient for us to have some enemy that people can imagine. And I think people addressing this
true, King. So what does this have to do with Ethan?
Kind of racism is something that matters so much in terms of building a better world, because I don't think we can just sit here and pretend, oh, it's just these people making the world bad, you know. Like, I really don't, and I think that anyone who isn't willing to confront that is someone who is going to cause problems.
I'm pretty sure Ethan is willing to confront that, so I don't really know what you're talking about.
Because the system in which we live is also incredibly violent, and our support for Israel has inflicted far greater tragedy on the Palestinian people that has been sustained for decades. I know I said this to you earlier, but like understanding Palestine through exclusively spectacular violence like October the 7th or the Gaza genocide misses out on the much more benign. And in many examples, we actually see how the benign policies that aren't just straight up killing someone can be so bad. We see them in the cases of Native Americans their children were ripped away from them and sent to these schools where they were to be educated to not be a Native American anymore. People literally see that as genocide, but they want you to focus on Palestine in terms of like Israelis and Palestinians are both victims when every single day Palestinians are degraded and subjected to violence.
Well, so Israelis would be the victims historically of, World War II. Would be more of the argument that people are saying. I understand what he's saying generally speaking, but that like, oh, October 7th happened, and I understand that and they were the victims of that. But then there's like this is one of the things that just like gets me. It's so interesting. Like the narrative here is like, hey, October 7th was terrible, and it wasn't the start of oppression. Right? Like if you look at it through October 7th, yeah, Israel is the victim. But if you look back at the way Israel was treating Palestinian people for like 50 years, you're like, wait a minute, this is really fucked up. More than about 70 years, 80 years. You're like, wait a minute, this is much more complicated. I 100% agree. But then if you look at 1948, when like Israel was given that land, if you look at that as the start, you would think that Israeli people are horrible. Right? But then you look back further, it's like, oh, wait, they were genocided into needing a Jewish homeland. And then they were mass exited out of other Arabic countries to Israel. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so this is like the fault of like World War II, of like Nazi Germany. But then if you look back at Nazi Germany, that came to rise because in World War I, like we all economically crippled Germany to such an extent that there was an allowance for the rise of power. You understand how we can continuously go back? And it's just interesting where like they choose to stop. They choose to stop when like Israel started pushing people out of Palestine, which is terrible, but not at the part where it's like, oh yeah, they were genocided into needing their own homeland because the entire world hated Jewish people. Even in the West, we were turning away Jewish refugees. You know what I mean? Like everybody hated Jews, unfortunately. And so it's like, it's just interesting that we're as nuanced as we need to be to only feel sympathy for Palestine. And it's like, no, we need to understand this more deeply. There isn't, because when you don't do that, there's an insinuation through this lie by omission, by not talking about it, that like Jewish people and Israeli people are just like additionally terrible people. That's the insinuation that people get out of that, but that's not the case. So you need a little bit more. I'd say you need a little more. More nuance is kind of cringe, but that's kind of what we need here.
Violence wherever they may be. They are surveilled, their houses are taken from them, they are constantly at risk of being killed by the Israeli war machine. Their houses, I have friends who grew up there, and they spoke to me about like a thing. Imagine soldiers just storming into your house and taking it over and saying, this is a military base for as long as we need it. We're gonna fuck up that house, we may spray graffiti. There are stories about even things being carved into the tables back in 2014 in Gaza, like death to Arabs and all this kind of stuff that is pushed like on Palestinians by these Israelis. And I think that it goes back to the thing of like, which is kind of something that also I didn't consider as well. If you were really, really upset about Israel, if you were really, really upset about how you were framed, surely you would be instantaneous, especially Healer would be like instantaneously, no, that Rudy Giuliani statement is crazy, which is not how the podcast flowed. It is not how the podcast went. It was, well, actually, there were loads of conversations going on at the same time, instead of just saying like, oh my God, it does look like I'm endorsing that. Oh, I'm really sorry. Because frankly, Ethan has said categorically.
They've already said that before. What? I don't understand. They've already said that, like, oh, there was lots of conversations going on at the same time, and Hila was like still considering something else. That was their argument. I don't understand.
That he is proud of Hila for having served in the Israeli military in the middle of a genocide. He said that. He said, oh, it was serving her country. He called Hassan a coward for not serving Turkey. Hila said that Israelis who don't serve in the Israeli military are selfish. And that is like an unbelievable thing to say in this time, when actually those who don't serve make a sacrifice, which I've...
How long ago did they say that? I mean, okay, gotcha.
Spoken to these Israelis.
It just sounds like you just hate Ethan. Do you think that he actually thinks that like going in the IDF is like a brave thing now? I don't know. I mean, maybe. Or were they just like fucking trying to be so petty against Hassan for fucking draft dodging in Turkey? I mean, like, what did this happen?
And they said, actually, it's the bare minimum not wanting to participate in what is done to Palestinians. But at the same time, they risk going to prison. They trouble their lives.
Well, I don't think that Hassan risks going to prison. He's a rich guy from Turkey, so
they make them more difficult because they are, because they are in prison and employment opportunities are taken away from them. And Hila called them selfish, and it doesn't really add up. And you know what I mean? It doesn't really add up with this position of being really anti-Israel and against the genocide.
Again, I think I continued to.
This is the only thing that I could find. I haven't even watched it yet. That might be what he's referring to.
What?
You're happy sharing a bed with an IDF soldier that's genocided Palestinians. That makes you happy?
Well, my wife hasn't killed anybody or participated in like combat, but like I do love my wife. I am
part of the military that's committing genocide right now. You're comfortable sharing a bed with somebody who's participating in that?
She hasn't participated in that.
No, she wasn't a part of the IDF.
Well, she was, she was part of the IDF, as all Israelis are. I love my wife, and I'm very proud and happy to share my bed with her. I'm very critical of the Israeli government, though, and I agree it's terrible what's happening there. Do you want to tell me how many Jews died in the Holocaust, or how good it feels to get your balls tickled with eyelashes?
Okay. Okay. Is that what are we referring to? I don't understand. I'm trying to find this. What?
And it doesn't really add up. And you know what I mean? It doesn't really add up.
What? I'm not understanding. All right. This is what I found, what I think they're referring to. I think I got... Should be good. Okay.
It's so divorced from reality. Zionist propaganda factory, bro.
I don't know how me being a soldier is such a key.
You weren't a soldier even.
It's such a key point to their argument, and that's like, if this is your argument, we're never gonna be able to talk. Like, nobody will ever talk with each other. That's the whole country. It's mandatory service. It's the whole country.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I hold to this.
And there's other countries that have mandatory service army.
Yeah, this is from March 7th, 2025. Is that this year?
Very common.
You're just being racist. If you have a problem with the whole country, that's racist.
Turkey has mandatory military.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like the core tweet is that AV said something pro-Palestinian, and then everybody was shitting on him because his bosses are from Israel. Okay.
Other countries that have mandatory service army.
Very common.
Yeah.
You're just being racist. If you have a problem with the whole country, that's racist.
Turkey has mandatory military service.
Yeah, and my parents were not the rich kind that will pay to get me out. And by the way, even if they were, I don't know, I'm not from a rich family, so I don't know. But even if they were, they would not agree to that because they think it's important to serve like everybody else in the country. I mean, it's a very selfish move to decide, okay, I'm not going to do it, but everybody else will.
Like Israel as a place, the mentality of growing up there, like everybody feels an obligation to protect, to serve, to nurture this place that feels like the only place in the world where they can live and be Jewish and not be like discriminated.
I mean, when you're growing up with constant terror attacks, the army is a necessity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sorry if people think that's a controversial statement. That is the reality of it.
That probably is a reality. I mean, it doesn't go into the history of everything, but sure.
Israel.
It's
And so for one person to decide, I'm not going to do it, is a very selfish decision because meanwhile you're not doing it, everybody else is doing it and putting their life on hold. Very important years of your personal development, you're putting it on hold to go do this. And it helps nothing with your career afterwards. You finish it, then you start your,
you don't even
your
need
actual
to defend
life.
yourself. It's just normal. Like I said, in Turkey, there's mandatory military service.
Okay, so yeah, all right. I was starting to get like a more clear picture. I mean, I would say like generally, I think it's ignorant in the sense that she criticizes people for draft dodging, which I think is, the fine thing to do. I also think if you don't, that's, I mean, kind of understandable as well. If you don't really have like the financial means to draft dodge, I get that as well. Yeah, I think that it's, I guess, a little ignorant to say that it's selfish. I mean, I'm not going to shit my fucking pants over it. I don't think that this is an indication that they like love what's happening in Palestine. I think that this is more of just like an offhanded comment about serving in the IDF and how like it's mandatory and it's like hard to dodge. I don't know. I don't think that this is like explicitly saying that it's a good thing to, kill people in Gaza. And there is a level of truth. Like there are constant like threats and attacks, I imagine. And again, it's a lot deeper than that, but sure. Okay. All right. I guess that do be bad. I don't think it's like big. I don't think it's like this horrific thing that shows Ela's a monster or something.
And that is like an unbelievable thing to say in this time when actually those who don't serve make a sacrifice, which I've spoken to.
We already heard this, no?
And you know what I mean? It doesn't really add up with this position of being really anti-Israel and against the genocide.
Well, they voted against, Netanyahu, but okay. Yeah, I don't think she's making a political statement. I think that she's making more of like a personal statement about how they've, I don't know, that there's the resentment amongst people who do dodge like the draft or whatever. I think it's more of that. I don't think it's like a personal statement. I think it's like, I think you can consider it ignorant, but
again, I think I continued to ask the question. Here? They said their biggest contention with me was the indoctrinated from birth or programmed from birth.
The programmed from birth thing comes off as anti-Semitic. yes, like everybody is to an extent, quote unquote, programmed from birth by their country, but there are a lot of deep, like, anti-Semitic talking points people have pushed for years about like Jewish programming, and you need to be careful of that. So that's why they took offense to that, because that can be considered a dog whistle, like a very heavy anti-Jewish dog whistle. And you, if you're this fucking woke individual, you should be in like understanding of that
statement. And so, okay, fair enough. Deleted that clip because it wasn't just them. Again, I continue to have this fear of, or not fear. I continue to be concerned with the amount of H3 fans who could be potentially Zionists who
you don't even know what that means. You didn't even you even try to start educating yourself on this until like yesterday. So
themselves who are incredibly afraid of anti-Semitism, and Ethan potentially playing into that, pointing the finger at their content creators, saying they're anti-Semitic, because it was not just Ethan who sent that message, like who said that message or reiterated that. It was tons of other people who had sent that message to me saying that what I had said in that instance was anti-Semitic. It was horrible, and so I did want to listen to that. And it's not just because I care about anti-Semitism. I have a personal situation with that where one of my best friends is Jewish, and
Whoa.
I went to her wedding over the summer, and so it hit home for me in that aspect where I genuinely was like, oh my god, like
what hit home?
You know, really afraid of that aspect. What? But at the same time, genuinely,
what do you, dude?
As I had said on the podcast, when I have I want to listen when it comes to instances of Muslim individuals, you know, people who are, you know, transgender, LGBTQ plus, really looking at their lived experiences in the current day and how they are experiencing life. What are instances of homophobia, transphobia, Islamophobia, and how I can actually examine that and speak to that. And so that's normally how I go about making content. So when so many people are telling me that, it really made me think, oh, okay, what did I do? Did I really genuinely misstep? Did I really say a Nazi talking point here?
Yes, you did. I mean, I don't know whether she meant that or not, but yes, that is what you did.
Really did question that deeply and become afraid, especially, like I said, because of my friend. And and that was really, really hard for me in that situation, just because, again, she was one of the first friends I made after becoming a mom, and making friends is a really hard experience. A lot of mothers can probably speak to that. And so she was one of my first friends I made after.
So many of these conversations, she coerces herself into every conversation. It's like always about her. Like, this is like such a pattern. This one by itself doesn't sound as bad, but like when you listen to her talk all the time, she's constantly deflecting to her and like weaponizing other people's traumatic experiences to justify her actions. It gets like so like, okay, over and over again. You know, it's just like, okay, Jesus Christ, you get like fucking, you know, you get fatigue from her
after becoming a mom. And so it was really a personal situation like that. Anyways, so but the thing that I noticed is that a lot of them who are sending these messages, I would engage with them in the comments, which I would not recommend normally.
Oh, really?
But genuinely because I wanted
to. Shit, you shouldn't be engaging with people in the comments.
To learn to kind of open that up, a dialogue. I would engage and I would say kind of, okay, how can I? Again, I would continue to ask, how can I speak to Israel, to what is happening, and not be anti-Semitic? Again, without that statement, that's what you have an issue with. Okay, disregard that. How can I continue to speak about, you know, the atrocities of Israel and not be seen as anti-Semitic? And nothing was said. There's no.
But like, dude, you don't even engage with any of those things. You didn't even know about it. Your first video, you were like, I don't really know enough about it, so I'm not going to talk about it, blah, 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 blah. Even though it's been going on for 2 years, and now you're pretending that it's like something that is deeply important to you. What are you talking about?
More dialogue. And so for me, I start to fear that these accusations of anti-Semitism are more so a conversation limiter, a thought limiter, and not
she just needed some more time to come up with a new talking point, guys. Don't worry.
And there's no further dialogue beyond that. There's no further.
I truly don't I really, of all the things that like you take away from this video about Cruel World Happy Mind, I think the biggest thing that you need to take away from here more than anything else is that she had no fucking idea about anything going on in Israel-Palestine. Even when she made her first video about Ethan, admitted that she didn't understand what was happening over and over again, and now she's sitting here a week later trying to morally chastise him when she didn't even care enough after, what, over 2 years of the conflict happening to educate herself on it. Like, it's like, oh my god, why would you listen to anything that she has to say as she like fucking like morally thumps against you? She doesn't care. She doesn't care. She's pretending to care because she's fucking got everything in her fucking original hit piece wrong. It's embarrassing for her. Oh my lord.
Way to speak on okay, again, Ethan continues to claim, I've empathized with the Palestinian people. I've spoken about Palestine. But when it comes to other people speaking about it, he will point the finger and say anti-Semitism, and he will not actually engage with you on how you can go about it in a productive manner. And to me, that's very telling as well, that he does.
Oh, really? Is it very telling as well?
Not actually want there to be a productive conversation in this way.
I think as well, like maybe the way
I agree with this as well. Well, fuck.
In which it's phrased from birth might like have upset him, and okay, appreciating that.
She said he was programmed. Like, what are you talking about?
At the same time, as I mentioned to you, and someone has literally just mentioned this in chat, Israelism is a documentary that exists that talks about how undeniably there are schools for young Jewish people that talk about Israel continuously.
Yes, that is how every country works. It's not something exclusive to Israel. Every country does this.
Teach people that Israel is part of their Jewishness and part of their culture. This is something that Ethan himself has repeated, saying, well, 9 out of 10 Jewish people support Israel, so you're saying that anyone who supports Israel's right to exist is anti-Semitic.
Well, that's questioning Israel's right to exist in general. I think it's okay to say that Israel has the right to exist. And more than that, like, what do you do if it doesn't exist? That's the question they'll never answer. Because they know that if, like, Israel gets, like, taken away, that's not going to be good for the Jewish people who live there. Because, like, a lot of surrounding countries do not like Jewish people. That's why they kicked all their Jews out to send them to Israel. That's why the conversation is so complicated. Yeah, it's crazy, Ethan. Why is he so worried about anti-Semitism? It's not like anybody sent human skulls to him or tried to have his kids taken away with CPS.
He himself has no problem with saying that. Like, oh, every Jewish person, or almost near enough every Jewish person supports Israel. He's referred to many Jewish people who don't as tokens. But it's not just one documentary either. There are plenty of people who have made TikTok videos, especially since October the 7th, saying, hey, I was actually a Zionist my entire life. From my birth, I was taught that Israel was good. There's a couple of people. There's someone who was people who were raised in Israel. There are people who are not raised in Israel. Ilan Pappé is a great example. Ilan Pappé, I believe, was born in Israel, I think in around 1948. Ilan Pappé fought in the Six-Day War for Israel. So he fought against Egypt and Syria for Israel. And, he admits in Israeli society that people are, and he talked about it on Palestine, as you mentioned, that there is high levels of indoctrination in Israeli society to be taught.
That's how all societies worked.
That actually Palestinians are the inheritance of Nazi anti-Semitism, that they want to wipe out all Jewish people, that they hate you for the same reasons that the Nazis did, and they don't actually confront what the Nazis believed. The reason that I loosely use the term Nazi about people is
what does that mean, they don't confront what the Nazis actually believe? Are you saying that you have a positive interpretation of what they believed?
When they practice a racial supremacist ideology, which says actually certain human beings are inferior, they're not worthy of the same things as me, they don't deserve to live in the country, I shouldn't have any empathy or respect for these people, they should be humiliated, degraded, and killed. That's what Nazism looks like, not someone maybe making a comment deemed insensitive to Ethan. Like, I'm sorry, it's not like, look at your other content, it's about, like, feminist content. Do you think, like, Nazis are feminists? Like, it's genuinely like a truly unbelievable thing to sit there and express such high levels of emotion when, once again, you can look at Ethan's... I mentioned this to you. You can look
I think that a lot of it comes down to that there's also a mounting and, like, increasing anti-Semitism over this topic. That's why people on the right and the left are very... like, they're fucking riling up over what's going on, and, like, they're being very anti-Semitic. We're seeing, like, Nick Fuentes hit the fucking cultural hive mind. Obviously, the anti-Semitism is dangerous because we're seeing more and more of it every single day. And I think that that's what the sensitivity is about that more than anything else.
Look at Ethan's reaction to when Asmund Gold said the Holocaust 99% happened. His instantaneous reaction was not to go, this is, he's a Nazi, fuck him, you're an anti-Semitic Nazi, and just hatred and bile because towards him, when perhaps actually saying with a community that big, because he's one of the biggest streamers, in the world, saying the Holocaust only 99% happened. That's like...
I didn't even know Asmund Gold said that. When did Asmund Gold say that 99%? When did he say this? And did Ethan even know about this? I don't even know how to respond to this because I didn't even know Asmund Gold said this. Did Ethan watch him say this and go like, oh, okay. What? Apparently this is the clip being referenced.
I'm not one of these Holocaust deniers. I think the Holocaust probably happened. I think probably 99% certainty it happened.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's stupid. It obviously 100% happened, but I think, okay. I guess, gotcha.
And the number of people that were killed is not a big deal to me. Like, if you told me that way less people got killed, I would still say Nazi Germany was terrible. It's just a silly thing to say. It's a silly thing to think about, and I don't know why people get so hyper-fixated on it. Yeah, it's...
Okay, so he's speaking to, like, it wasn't actually 6 million, like, anti-Semitic conspiracy theory. And his whole thing is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the Holocaust happened, and I don't care if it was 6 million, even if it was less, it was still a horrible event that happened.
It's ridiculous. It's a brave take. No, yeah, I mean, well, that's what I'm saying. Has one stopped? No, here's the thing, is that, like, I used to be very afraid of this kind of stuff, like talking about different topics like this, etc.
I don't know. I don't even, did Ethan even know that he said this? I didn't even know he said this. What? Okay. I mean, I don't know what to say. Did Ethan know about it? Like, what do we do with that? Okay. I don't even think he knew about it.
Like saying the Second World War only 99% happened. That's like saying...
well, the point of what Asmongold was saying is that it doesn't matter even if the numbers were inflated, which they weren't, because it was still a horrible event. I don't see why Ethan would talk about it, or if he even knew about it. I don't know.
The Iraq War, 99% happened. It happened.
I mean, the way that you framed the Holocaust, you even said that we're taught the Holocaust was like one of the worst events in history, and you didn't even say that it was. So I don't know. I feel like there's probably more anti-Semitic people out there.
Like, there's no two ways about it. If you think that there is a 1% chance that any of these things did not happen, then you are saying something that is crazy. You know, and you are starting to engage and cultivate a community of really hateful people.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we're gonna have a general conversation about Asmongold, like, yeah, Ethan doesn't talk about Asmongold enough. I agree with that 100%. I think that he should talk about Asmongold more. And like some of the dumb shit that he says. But also, I don't think that he even knew about this take. I haven't even seen this before. You know, and there's also like a conversation to have when it comes to like online shit about like, you know, talking about too many people at once, because that could potentially, you know, you could stretch yourself too thin and like end up pissing off too many communities at once. And sometimes you have to like pull punches from other communities. I don't really know, but I don't think he even knew about this.
Really scary shit. Yeah,
exactly.
So
and I think that that's why, like, when the word Nazi has meaning, it refers to a racist political ideology that preached racial supremacy and otherized individuals. And I think when people do that today, when people look at another and they say, you have degraded my society and you are worthy of death for that degradation, you are worthy of expulsion, you are worthy of being sent back to wherever you've come to my society from, that is where I see the heirs of Nazism, not in all people who are criticizing Israel. There are, of course, people like Nick Fuentes. There's even a distinction amongst far righters. If your far right party was founded after the Second World War, generally you don't engage with anti-Semitism. If it was founded before, you do engage with anti-Semitism. This is why, like, Marine Le Pen, if you know who that is, so she's a leader of like the hard right in France. Marine Le Pen's father founded the party and was a collaborator with the Nazis. But he's also a guy who I think that this is correct, he tortured people for the French in Algeria. And this is kind of something that I tapped into earlier. Someone who is willing to collaborate with the Nazis didn't give a fuck about people being tortured and mass murdered in other parts of the world if they were racially inferior to them. And so I think just throwing out Nazi, because like, I know that this is part of what we're going to talk about, but like, someone who doesn't quite understand Palestine as well and hasn't like researched it as much as perhaps like someone like myself has, saying something like that and having a blowout and sending your audience to be like, this woman is an evil Nazi, get her, she's defamed me, she's anti-Semitic, she's part of...
So, I mean, I'm not really sure. First of all, I don't think Ethan actually thinks she's a Nazi. I'm pretty sure I remember him saying that in the conversation that they had. That's number one. Number two, she said something that would be like a Nazi talking point, talking about being Jewish programmed, right? She didn't clarify that, like, hey, everybody in every country is exposed to some level of propaganda about other countries based on how much they do or don't like that country. You know, it comes off as like it's like a dog whistle point, right? And so he corrected her on that and said, hey, this is a dog whistle. Are you aware of that? It's not that deep. But they're trying to over like emphasize this point here. Try to make it seem like Ethan's like when he calls people, when he called her out for that talking point, that like he was completely unjustified in it. He wasn't. Like, it's a fucking insane thing to say. Talking about Jewish programming is like an anti-Semitic dog whistle. I don't think that she was engaging in like that on purpose, but that was the whole point. And now he's like, oh, well, you call that a Nazi? It's not a Nazi. It's like, okay, relax. We know, like, when we know it's just it's a fucking talk. It's an anti-Semitic talking point. You should be careful about the way that you engage, even if you're not trying to be anti-Semitic. You know. Like, let's say, for instance, you do a tier list where it's like, you know, Sabra's the worst and the best is Arab. You know, even if you're not trying to be anti-Semitic, maybe you can understand that that's like an insensitive way to operate and people could think it's anti-Semitic, right? That's the whole point. Like, if I did a tier list that was like white to fried chicken, you'd probably think, hey, that's a little insensitive, right? Although fried chicken's much better than hummus, let's be real.
Part of a campaign against me is a pretty irresponsible and crazy thing to do.
It's crazy.
Because it's not the case.
Got that Ethan Klein is crazy narrative going. Hell yeah, baby.
Is it? Like, I call people Nazis when they're preaching racial supremacy, not
Crazy.
when someone just makes a fucked up comment, you know?
But what if the fucked up comment aligns with Racial supremacy. What do you do then? How do you contend with that?
Yeah.
Or
No,
by the way,
no,
I
yeah.
just want to
Yeah, totally. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah, no. I really appreciate that you are running defense for me. Thank you.
I know.
As I say, like, there is 100% a kernel of truth in that comment. And saying that, like, God, that's the most anti-Semitic thing that I've ever heard. When I think if you actually asked a lot of anti-Zionist Jewish people, that they would say, actually, yeah, my upbringing was heavily Zionist. I don't really know about Ethan's personal upbringing. I know that his sister
That is one thing I want to ask, too. Not you, just like rhetorically speaking, because I don't want to say he feigns a lot of outrage, but my theory also, this is total sidetrack on this as well, but just blatantly putting it out there too. Because again, I consumed a lot of H3 content from their podcast directly in the preparation of.
No, she didn't. You said that you had a researcher. What happened to that?
Of that video. And one thing I noticed is he would often talk about The Godfather, or he went through a phase where he like would be kind of like, about The Godfather and everything. And he, was very, he's a master poker player. And I think that a lot of, sometimes I struggle to discern what is authentic and what is strategy within himself. And I think I also worry for his own audience. Again, this is something I'll continue reiterating because I worry for his audience more than I really care for him genuinely.
You worry more for his audience? Okay. Got the concern trolling going on now, baby.
Because honestly speaking, because I think that a lot of times he feigns outrage and he feigns sympathy. Again, they will accuse.
I don't think Ethan ever feigns anything. I think Ethan can be a little too sensitive sometimes, but he never fakes outrage.
Me of playing the victim, but that is all he does is play the victim. And I think that it's something that.
Why wouldn't you say this on your podcast, on his podcast then? Why are you such a fucking coward about all this?
They very much really do genuinely care about. They're very parasocially involved. And I think that he'll feign outrage a lot of times, in my opinion. And this is one aspect that I really wonder about because I haven't heard him talk much about his upbringing as a Jewish individual. Has he gone to, what was his upbringing, essentially? We don't know, how much.
What is his upbringing? Why does he have to go into his, talk about his upbringing? I don't understand.
The only thing that I know is that the second that he had not the second, but he was really struggling a lot with his mental health in college, and his first thought was to do a birthright trip to help with that. That's
okay. What's your point?
The only thing I know, and I think that's.
You think that's telling that he's a bad guy because he was like really struggling with my mental health? Maybe I'll go on a birthright trip because it's paid for. Like, what the fuck?
I don't want to say interesting because that'll be. But I think that is interesting. I think it's telling about maybe a lot of people have a lot of other options that they consider before doing a birthright trip. They think they.
Yeah, you're right. It's so crazy that when he was like 20 years old, when he had no understanding of anything going on in the world, he did a fucking birthright trip, like because he was feeling depressed and was looking for an answer. That's so telling. Like, what the fuck are you saying? These people are unhinged, dude. They're unhinged. Like fucking like before, this guy was like, yeah, if you're in like your early 20s, I can kind of understand you're going through some stuff and you make some mistakes and you say some dumb shit. But it's like, okay, wasn't that when Ethan was like 20 years old when this happened and he was feeling depressed, right? Because that's when he met Ela. No, like, am I fucking crazy? What are we doing here? That's really interesting. It's interesting that he's basically been the insinuation here is that he's basically been some kind of he's been, I don't know, I don't really understand the insinuation. What is the insinuation here? That like he's always been some kind of like an arm of Israel? Like, what are you trying to say? Because he wanted to go on a birthright trip because he was depressed and he didn't know what to do with his life? Like, what the fuck?
They go to therapy. They go to and his first thing was go to a birthright trip because
therapy when he was like 20 years old. What the fuck? They met in 2007. That's like fucking almost 20 years ago. The guy was like 20 years old when they met. None of this conversation was even close to like existing. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, this is insane. I think it's interesting when he was 20 and uneducated on everything that he did, that he went to Israel for a birthright trip. Why is that interesting? It's not interesting at all. It's fucking boring. What are you talking about?
He's dealing with generalized anxiety. And then essentially in his video, he claimed that the birthright trip helped him with everything. It literally cured everything. That was his video, essentially.
A change of scenery probably helped him a lot.
The birthright trip cured everything. It saved him. He met his wife, and
by the way, like 20 years ago, nobody, like 18 years ago, therapy wasn't exactly like a very common thing that people did or talked about. Like, okay, and you don't necessarily need to go to therapy for everything. Maybe he was just needed a change of scenery. I don't understand.
His savior of all of his problems that were going on in his life. Which, first off, I tried to very much empathize in my original video that would be very hard.
I remember when she like used her brother drowning or something as like a weapon to talk about other shit. Yeah, well, my brother, I know I was being really anti-Semitic, but my brother drowned. It's like, okay.
To disassociate a country that you have such emotional ties to, that you feel literally saved your life, disassociate from all of that and really see it for the reality that it is. But also,
what's the reality that it is? What are you talking about? What?
Disassociate a country that you have such emotional ties to, that you feel literally saved your life, disassociate from all of that and really see it for the reality that it is. But also,
she hates Jews. Okay, so just to be absolutely clear, and this is something that Ethan says like 100 times, and this is like the right take. I don't really care. Israel, it's okay that Israel exists, and the Israeli people are good people. It's the government that's like genocidal. I would compare it to like fucking Trump in America. I don't think everybody's a fucking insane Trumper. But she's like, no, apparently that's Ethan's like entire thing. He's like, listen, like what the government's doing is horrible, and he even voted against it when he lived there. He voted against Netanyahu. He thinks he's a fucking a warmongering genocidal criminal. But like the people still like are okay. That's the point that's being made. That's literally been the entire point the entire time. I guess she doesn't think that. I guess she thinks that everybody in Israel's a bad person. I don't know. Great stuff.
So I think that.
Oh yeah, that's a good point too. He said he met Hila there. He didn't even say that going to Israel is what saved him. He said that like meeting Hila, the love of his life, is what saved him. Holy fuck! Wait, there's so many things wrong with this fucking this shit going on here, dude. There's so many things that are wrong with like the way that she's phrasing everything. It has to be intentional. It has to be intentional.
It is very telling that is your conclusion of that experience, rather than go to therapy if you're experiencing generalized anxiety. I mean, to be blatantly honest.
And also, like,
she's so gross, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, Ethan obviously is okay what's going on in Palestine because he met his wife in Israel. Like that's what we're hearing here. What the fuck?
Just on birthright. It's not like just some trip. It's like you meet Israeli soldiers intentionally who tell you, I've just been dealing with these crazy terrorists. Oh my God, my life is under threat. I'm just in so much trouble from these evil monsters. And that's actually, in my understanding, one of the things that has the most lasting impact on American Jewish people. Generally, if you go to Israel and the position that you already held is, I'm not actually too sure about Israel, what you end up with is probably not changing like majorly. But what a considerable number of Jewish people who do go end up feeling, actually, I'm really worried about the safety of the Jewish connections I've made in Israel. And so a lot of it taps into like, you know, fears about your friends' lives. And you start thinking, well, Israel's protecting the people that I love and people I've formed relationships with. But like also at the same time, I've seen it described by this. I can't remember the name of the guy. He went on the birthright trip and he stands up and he's like, this is like going to the Jim Crow South without talking to about what happened to black people. This is a crazy thing to be getting up to. It's a crazy thing that you can go on a paid trip to go to a land that is occupied. And the reason you are brought there, the reason that people think that it is a good idea to bring you, is so as you support Israel better. So that you either move there, which is the ultimate goal, because the Zionist project is open about its desires to have as many Jewish people there. It offers benefits. This is not some crazy thing to say. But
no, it probably is true that they want more Jewish people to live there. Sure.
It also hopes that if you...
I guess it wouldn't be such a strong country if every other country didn't kick their Jews out of it, huh? Whether it was fucking like Germany in World War I or excuse me, World War II, or other Arabic countries that kicked their Jews out.
You don't do that. That you go back home and you influence those around you to say, actually, you know what? Like I've been, and it wasn't that bad for the Arabs, and like my friends who I love.
Well, there's like 20% of the population is Palestinian, like that lives inside of Israel proper. Not even like not Gaza, not the West Bank. So, I mean, it is, you know, pretty diverse. It's much more diverse than other countries, I'll say, out there in the Middle East, you know. It's not like the worst place in the world. The thing that's happening that's terrible is the government and what they're doing in Gaza. That's the bad part. Oh, okay. So apparently Ethan even clarified that that's not even true, that his mental health was like why he went to Israel. Dude, I don't care. He was like 20-something years old. He went there because it was like something to do. What do you want me to tell you? You know, these are the people that are going to be like, oh, that fucking Houthi pirate kid was actually just like cosplaying and being stupid. And he's not actually like a radical fucking, pirate or whatever. It's like, oh, okay. But then why aren't you giving, and he was like young and you should give him a break. It's like, okay, cool. But then when it comes to Ethan, he wasn't young and we're not going to give him a break. Like, how far do we go with this?
Of there are really at risk. My friends who are really at risk are really, my friends who I really love and care about are really at risk of being killed. And I think like, it's impossible to run away from that. It's impossible to get away from. That's. Sorry,
just to interject, I was going to say, so my neighbor, again, this conversation.
Oh my God, she knows someone else, guys. She has a neighbor. She knows a lot of Jewish people. It's incredible.
Where she comes over to tell me how wrong I am. She talks about, what I think is so interesting is she talks about, I keep using that word, interesting. But
I don't think that anything that she's about to say happened. I think that she's making shit up.
She talks about coming over to speak with me, going over to Israel. And specifically going to, I want to say Yad Vashem, right? The Holocaust Museum in Israel, and how essentially how horrifying it was. I mean, obviously horrifying, but how
Yeah, the Holocaust was pretty horrifying.
It just changed her entire perspective. How going to Israel changed her entire perspective. Going to that museum changed her entire perspective.
I mean, not for nothing, but if you have an entire group of people, in this case of the Jews, whose entire existence historically has been getting oppressed, like, yes, it's going to change your perspective. Yes, like I cannot think of a single group throughout the entirety of history that's been more oppressed than Jewish people. Like, let's just state it as a matter of fact. It doesn't justify what's going on in Gaza, but like, yes, it's understandable. I mean, like, what time? Like, what they got robbed of their own homeland by like the Romans, kicked out, treated like second-class citizens everywhere else that they've gone historically by literally everybody, Western, Eastern, everybody. Yeah, like it'd be pretty fucked. Yeah, I get why they think these things. Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy.
And I thought speaking to her, it was very hard for me. Like, do you not see this? But anyway,
the story is, just to be clear, the story isn't real. Like, this is a fake story. Like, she never had like any conversation. Like, do you not see like this? Never had this conversation with this person. She's you can't be like, oh, I know people call me a people pleaser, and then like pretend that she gave pushback to her friend who said that she went to Israel and like learned how terrible the Holocaust was. Like, none of this is real. It's all like inauthentic. She's just lying. She's just saying things because she wants to be somebody who has like that, who can have like some kind of an educated conversation. That's literally it. Oh my God.
She particularly spoke about specific exhibits, like one exhibit where it's a candle and a bunch of mirrors and children's shoes from the Holocaust, or another one of women in snow, knee deep, and they're naked in the sort of exhibit. And
you think that these things didn't happen?
First off, very interesting to apply that perspective in terms of Ethan's own story, because I'm pretty sure that's where him and Ela met. And so to hear how it affected my, again, white, blonde, non-Jewish neighbor, to know, again, this is Ethan Klein, who is, he has...
What the fuck are you talking about?
His own ancestral lineage is connected. So I'm sure that affected him emotionally even more so. So that was, but she spoke about that. And then she spoke about how going around Israel, Palestinians coexisted with Israelis and are...
Yes, because they do inside of Israel, especially the more liberal parts of Israel. That's like a fact. That's a real thing that happened. Are you denying that that's like real?
And that they were, this is specifically the verbiage that she chose, that it was like, the Red Sox and the Yankees, and that they would just be like, oh, you Palestinians, the Israelis, and that was essentially what it was like, and that it was just the politicians that were against each other, but the actual citizens, that was essentially the extent of their outrage with one another.
I'm sure it's like much worse in different areas. It depends on where they're at, but like, what's the point of you saying this? Are you saying it's not multicultural? Are you saying that she is downplaying some of the divide between Israel and like Israelis and Palestinians? Like, what is the point that you're trying to make?
And that was her experience that she kind of came over and spoke with me about. And I thought that was fascinating. Sorry, just to kind of, I guess.
Why was it fascinating? Can you give us can you be specific about it? What is it that you didn't like? Be specific. Don't just say something is interesting or fascinating. Don't just use these words like you're just saying things. Like, say what you're trying to say. Stop trying to like insinuate it to people's minds.
What you're saying in terms of just someone who had gone to Israel and their experience, and how she was so adamant with telling me that too, in terms of she was very much felt that I had been, I'm on the wrong side, and I was,
Oh, she's trying to make it seem like right after this thing happened online, she had this conversation with people. This isn't real. You're telling me like she thought you were wrong about what? The only way that you would be wrong about this, I guess, is if she knew about all the online political shit going on, like your controversy. Do you think that she actually knew? You're telling me that she knew about your controversy online, and she's like, oh, you're so wrong about these. I went to the Holocaust Museum in Israel, and blah, blah, blah. This is not a real story. This is just not real. She's just saying things. She's making up stories so that she can pretend that she has like some kind of attachment to this conversation. These are not real things.
So it was...
No, I mean, also, as I was saying earlier, like, if you, the problem is if you, like, kind of just, I don't know, that is that you're like, this thing happened in the past and it will never happen again, and you don't confront, like, I think it was, I can't remember who said this, but they said one of the most unfortunate things about the slogan, and never again, is that it has become time and time again, that I think people are not paying enough attention and understanding that genocides have happened across many different places. The Holocaust happened inside Europe. There are people who write about this, who talk about, actually, this kind of stuff was done to Congolese people. Hundreds of actually millions of Algerians were interned in re-education camps and were subjected to brutality, mass killings by the French, who ruled over their land for years and planned to...
I mean, the problem here is that, like, you guys don't care about this, right? Because when Hassan said some dumbass shit and downplayed, Muslims being put in camps in China, you guys like washed right past it. You'll shit on Ethan for a perspective from 15 years ago, but when Hassan says like last year that he doesn't really care about the Uyghur Muslims, that were put in camps in China that were being fucking slaughtered and like forced into these camps. Like, what, you don't care about these oppressions? Like, what are you talking about? Listen, guys, I got an accent, okay? The Uyghur Muslims. Uyghur? Cenk? What?
To exterminate them. The killing of the Native Americans inspired the Nazis in what they did. That is a fact. That is an undeniable fact. Hitler wrote with glee about what the Americans had done to the natives. And I think if you do not see the thread, the connection between all of these racial supremacist, exterminationist ideologies in the belief that there are human beings who are undeserving of the land and the consequences of that, then I don't know what to say, because Palestine is happening in a different era, and it is also a cause that has been very internationalized for a very long time. And many of the people who were the strongest advocates for Palestine in the 20th century were very international figures. People like, everyone knew who Yasser Arafat was in the 1960s and 70s, or a lot of people knew who he was anyway. And he brought Palestine to the global stage. And part of what that has not allowed Israel to do is to carry out, like, you know, the same slaughter that we've seen previously. Up until this point, in Gaza, they have exterminated more than 70,000 people at minimum. However, 100,000 more at minimum, 130,000 are wounded. Some of those wounds are something that will never go away. But they have eviscerated the social life of 2 million people. They have destroyed cultural memory, history, fabric. The people who first wrote about genocide spoke about genocide being something so much broader. And I think that if you are willing to say what Nazism, if you are willing to understand what genocide is, you must look at Gaza, and your reaction must be, how could this happen? Not actually, people who see me comment on this and say inappropriate things are the problem. Because, like, even yesterday, you know, they're upset that some models are like, I found out that he supported Israel, and it's like, Ethan's response is, I've never supported Israel. And I mean, here are just like a short list. He posted in earlier this year.
Okay.
At the height of the Gaza famine. Meanwhile,
I mean, we watched his response. So
in Sudan, to highlight the fact that Sudan's famine is worse, completely ignoring the fact that to address famine in Sudan requires getting a multitude of different militant organizations to stop, and isn't just as simple.
Oh no, I'm sure he was bringing up it up, and it's like, yeah, you guys talk about this one, how come you don't talk about this other one? Which is a point that she brought up as well, by the way. She also brought up Sudan, so I don't really know why you're giving Ethan shit when she did that. So I don't understand your point.
As a Western-backed nation, allowing aid that is continually supplied to go into a place where there was already an aid system that worked there. He has also categorically justified the bombing of hospitals by saying Hamas hides there, and then
they do hide there. The problem is sometimes Hamas doesn't hide there, and then still Israel will attack them. So that's the problem. It's like, the Hamas will hide within civilian infrastructure. And then sometimes, because of that, sometimes they'll claim Hamas is hiding somewhere, and they aren't actually, which is either bad intel or because they don't care, right? Like, this is a fact, though, that Hamas is hid within civilian infrastructure. Like, especially towards like the start, like right after October 7th, they were constantly telling civilians, like, hey, leave, we're going to bomb the fuck out of those areas, what Israel would do, and then Hamas wouldn't let them leave. This doesn't make Israel amazing or good, but like, you guys act like Hamas is like amazing. You guys don't give them any criticism whatsoever for allowing their people to be killed.
And even when he was talking to you, his first response,
and even like when Hassan found out that like they were starting to reject Hamas inside of, you know, Palestine, inside of Gaza, he's like, no, like, this is ridiculous. You know, there's always something.
Was what's the best situation? It was, well, Hamas goes, and it's like, Hamas goes, and then what? And then apparently international Arab coalitions give them dignity and respect back. It's like, I think Palestinians getting back basic social life is something which I advocate for, but it is not the ultimate solution in Palestine. The ultimate solution in Palestine is saying no more to racial supremacist ideologies, no more, that this cannot go on. The ideologies that say, no, actually, you know, the damned Arabs are just evil, monstrous anti-Semites who come and kill us, and we're justified in doing whatever to them. We cannot accept that. We have to say that there are no two ways about it. That must be prevented. That must be stopped. And I think that anyone who is not unequivocally like, yes, I totally agree with that. And you know,
it's very vague. What's your specific solution here? Like, yeah, two-state solution, reparations to Palestine. What's your solution? I don't understand. I
myself will address things where I'm like, hey, I don't think you should, like, I think this will, actually, I'll leave that conversation for slightly later. But yeah, I think that, like, if your reaction is to make it about your feelings, and my Palestinian friend said this, he said, I am sorry, but how are you telling me about your feelings when my friends and family in Gaza don't have even basically the capacity for feelings, for experiencing normal things, because they are being subjected to extermination.
So you're not allowed to be like, hey, anti-Semitism is on the rise and you shouldn't be anti-Semitic in the conversation. Just before, you were like, yeah, you should make sure that you aren't like justifying anti-Semitism. And now if Ethan speaks out against some kind of anti-Semitism that's on the rise, all of a sudden you're like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. It's just like every other sentence is just like there's just like new rules that we got to adhere to, apparently.
And Ethan is very much like, I just care about Israeli civilians too. It's like, sorry, Israeli civilians were killed on October the 7th over a year, nearly 2 years ago. Okay. Palestinians were being slaughtered 100 people per day. They are still in atrocious famine-like situations. There is nothing left. The entire social fabric has been destroyed there, and Israeli soldiers are allowed to wander around Europe, do as they please. It's like really difficult to see how you can both sides this right now and not understand that actually there was no equivalency between the black slaves and the people who had slaves and the black slaves who took up weaponry and fought against them, killing civilians.
You guys act like every day they're sitting here and like saying this stuff. They're mostly saying like, I don't think it's justifiable to be anti-Semitic to Jewish people in the United States. Like, that's it. And he even has said multiple times he thinks there's a genocide going on in Gaza, and that like people in Palestine are the primary victims. But that doesn't mean that like Jewish Americans deserve to, or any Jewish person really deserves to be the victim of anti-Semitism that's on the rise on both the right and the left. I don't know. It's just okay. This is why you don't. There's no reason to interact with these people. Once Ethan like stops talking about them, they're not gonna. There's nothing that they're gonna be able to. Nobody's gonna care about them anymore.
We know it is wrong. Killing innocent people and perpetrating war crimes is wrong. However, Israel has so consistently done those things to Palestinians. You know, it's like. Yeah. Please feel free to go on. I know I'm just talking.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought it was all really informative. And so I want to listen as much as I can.
Oh, did you?
But yeah, I mean, so the first thing I wanted to say is, I mean, from the book, I had a few things that I wrote down, but
I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this whole thing. It's fucking insane.
Something I thought the most interesting to kind of, I always bump my mic. I put my hands way too much. Let me know if I do that too much. But they spoke about genocide. I mean, I'll just try and, I'm kind of referring to my notes a little bit, but first off, this is from page 31 on Palestine. Frank Barat claims that anyone who's been in Israel as long as he knows that the worst corruption of young Israelis is the indoctrination they receive that totally dehumanizes the Palestinians, depicts civilian areas as military bases, seeing people as military targets in order to ethnically cleanse your population is what can lead to a genocide as your victim becomes dehumanized. I think that's a good kind of quote that relates to this conversation is in terms of like Nazism and genocides. It's essentially just this idea of seeing victims as military targets and dehumanizing them over long periods of time, easily leading to a genocide and being this sort of Nazism ideology. And the irony in all of that of pointing the fingers at others and saying criticizing us is Nazism while you are doing all of that. And
so you're saying that Ethan is engaging in an active campaign to just redirect the conversation away from Palestinian people and towards Jewish people to make it seem like they're the victim. That's what she's saying right now. That's what the anti-Semitic part is saying, that like Ethan is part of this like organized effort to do that when he's not doing that. So, oh my God.
You know, the Zionist sort of Israeli supremacy.
100%. And I mean, the other thing is that I think if all of your criticism and all of your showtime is dedicated to like this kind of stuff rather than talking about what's going on in Palestine, apparently as someone who advocates for Palestine and doesn't deserve the criticism and doesn't deserve blowback, it kind of speaks to something. And especially when...
Not really. It doesn't really speak to anything. He's not really a politics guy. He wasn't a politics guy. He would do drama and doesn't really talk about politics too much. That's why he did a show with Hassan to be like the politics aspect of his thing. But now every single time something happens, they go, oh, he's a bad guy. He's a terrible person. All because he unfollowed Frogan after October 7th and then got harassed by Hassan's fans and they called him like a fucking baby killer. And he took that personally, got really upset. And then Hassan wouldn't do anything about it because he doesn't actually care and was just using Ethan to get like a larger platform. It's like, okay. Like that is what it is. Like, okay, cool stuff. I mean, optically, maybe it doesn't look great, but if you are from the outside, but Ethan isn't like a political podcast, you know?
And we know, like,
I mean, that's why he probably should stop responding to people like this specifically, because they're fucking, you know, they're just like, oh my God, they're exhausting.
Like the kind of things that Hila likes on social media. All of his fans can run from it as much as they want. And I think...
What does Hila like on social media? What?
Is it okay if we take a quick bathroom break? I just really need to pee.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be back in like a couple of minutes. I just we can then move on to like another topic. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Listen, I can't sit through more of this. This is horrible. This is just the same stuff that we've seen over and over and over again. Hey guys, Ethan's bad. Ethan's Jewish. Anytime he says that you shouldn't be anti-Semitic towards people, he's actually some kind of a fucking crazy guy. You know, he has a tattoo on his leg of like a drawing of, you know, of a colored drawing from his kids, and we're going to insinuate that he's actually going crazy and scratching his leg. It's boring. This kind of shit's so fucking boring. It's boring. Oh my God, like enough is enough. Enough is enough with this shit. Basically, the reality is that Cruel World Happy Mind made a dog shit, horribly researched video about Ethan Klein, She got destroyed for it because she thought it was going to be a sweep because she thought everybody hated Ethan. It turns out the narrative really isn't that hateful of Ethan. It's starting to turn around. She got upset, admitted she had no idea what was going on about Israel-Palestine in her first video and her follow-ups, and now she's coming on here pretending that she's this super educated person, even though, again, for 2 years while this conflict was going on, she did zero to research the horrible things happening. And now she's like fucking morally masturbating in front of, oh, I'm such a good person. Oh, Ethan's so bad because, it's boring. These people are boring. These people are boring. There's no reason to listen to them. They don't really care. Okay? That's it. I'm fucking tired of this shit. Holy fuck. We're done watching this. This is boring the shit out of me. Someone said to skip to 247 to see if there's something interesting that happens there. I will watch a little bit more from here.
Tame video on the topic. Sorry if I'm like talking too much into the mic.
No,
like,
not at all. It sounds great.
But I wanted to make a sort of a very tame video for that aspect. I was very intimidated on the topic, and also I had spoke to my friend about it. Also, kind of going back to the wedding. When I was at the wedding,
there's a rabbi story.
There, but again, I was a little bit, again, very naive, not extensively versed on everything, the complexities and nuances to all of this. But again, had my stances. People who've been following me for a long time know that I had posted a lot on Free Palestine, since October 7th, or again, since I'd kind of gotten out of my grief spiral of my brother passing away.
You said you had no idea about what was actually happening. What are you saying?
But I also kind of assumed my friend knew this about me. We don't follow each other on Instagram, so no one can kind of try and go find her, and I've never posted her. But
she goes to a different Instagram, guys.
But I also assumed she knew this about me. But yeah, and again, I just kind of assumed most people would know what Israel's doing is kind of fucked up. So I went to this wedding, and rabbis officiating it, and
cool.
And if that's a proper terminology,
yes,
officiating the wedding. But he gave this speech about how it's really dark times, and of course there's a lot of Jewish people in attendance, and he gave this long speech about how it's really dark and scary times of what's happening, and it's and
she stood up and said, "No, Rabbi, you're the problem," and then she did like a cool dance move, and it's actually a movie.
During these times, it's great that some joy can happen, and I just remember kind of being a little bit like, Is this a pro-Palestine tweet? Like, what do you mean exactly by that? But afterwards, she had told me that this rabbi had gotten some controversy for making some pro-Palestine statements early on. And
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What?
So, but again, it was.
I'm sorry. So she went to a Jewish wedding. A rabbi was like, "Hey, these are some dark times. This marriage and this wedding is like a beautiful thing to shine through them." And the first thing that she thought is like, "Oh, this guy hates Palestinians." That's you being anti-Semitic. And then it turns out he was being pro-Palestinian. You look like an idiot here. This makes you look like you don't like Jewish people. When you're around Jewish people, the first thing you think anytime that they say bad things are happening is like what? Yeah, the Jewish person was like, man, these times are tough. And they were like, oh, I bet they hate Palestinians. What? What?
What do you mean exactly by that? Is this a pro-Palestine tweet? Like what do you mean exactly by? It's great that some joy can happen, and I just remember kind of being a little bit like, is this a pro-Palestine tweet? Like what do you mean exactly by that? But afterwards, she had told me that this rabbi had gotten some controversy for making some pro-Palestine statements early on, and so, but again, it was like kind of, it was hard to say because it was like, okay, again, that kind of line walking where it was like, okay, so, but what exactly, what does he really believe? I can't quite, and so again, before.
Why are you like, why won't you just take his word for it? Like, he was being pro-Palestinian, but what do you really believe?
Before making this video, I'd spoken with her because I was getting all these interesting messages, and so I kind of had spoken with her and was a little bit like, okay, what is how has this topic been for your family, just blatantly? And she was like, well, she did tell me flat out, don't do the video.
Yeah.
I was a little bit like, oh, she was right on that, and also very mixed perspectives in the family and in her community, and a big thing that she had told me is to be sure to call Hamas a terrorist organization, and to
I bet this is so real.
and what else? Essentially, what she had told me was that Israel is being attacked by all these Muslim countries, and all these Muslim countries are attacking Israel, and that her perspective had kind of changed from October 7th, and she'd seen a bigger rise of anti-Semitism. And
well, there was a bigger rise of anti-Semitism, and historically, like every country has hated Israel, or Jewish people in general. That's why they mass exited people from Israel. But okay. And
my perspective after listening to her, again, I don't want to speak for her or anything, because again, I
you literally are, but okay.
I don't think she is a Zionist, or even though I know some of these things are a little bit towing the line, but it's essentially, it seems like a lot of Jewish teachings often talk a lot about genocides that have been enacted throughout history. I mean, there's the Inquisition. Even I'd read a fantasy book called The Familiar by
Fantastic, a fantasy book. Oh, is it one of those like weird saucy ones?
Leigh Bardugo, about that even touches on that. And there's, of course, the Holocaust in recent history, where a lot of people have their familiar, close people that are alive today that can recount those experiences, and a lot of holidays that talk about it. And so it seems like there's a great fear there of something happening within their lifetimes that mirrors that experience. And so that is what my impression was talking with them about this, is that there's this great fear of this happening again. And so they're so afraid of it sort of this reoccurrence, that's all they can see is within the Palestinians, is that somehow they're going to wipe out Israel, that somehow the
So you're saying historically Jews have always been the victim, and that makes them afraid to be victims again, and they're shitting on them? I don't really, what do you okay. Okay.
That somehow Iran is going to wipe out Israel, when that they can't even reflect that they are doing that in the
100%.
same breath.
The most racist.
I mean, I guess you would call this like a historical oppression, making them afraid. No. Okay.
The most racist Israeli politician is the person who popularized the slogan "Never Again." A really famous slogan in recent Jewish history was categorically popularized by someone who believed in exterminating all Palestinians. He popularized it. Anyone can look this up. This is freely available information. He did that. The slogan comes from saying "Never again shall Masada fall," but it was popularized in political usage by the most racist Israeli. This is like a thing. And
all right, cool. So am I be done with this? This is just like, so it's the same boring shit over and over again. Does she say something even crazier? This like weird fucking romance story thing, this weird like rabbi story, like what else do we got here? You know what I mean? Like, is there more?
It's an interesting thing. I had a friend who I was very close with, or who was Jewish, and we'd often talk about this kind of stuff, and they would talk to me about difficulties. They would actually talk to me about how they had stopped going to synagogue, because in the UK, if you go to a synagogue, they say, right, we're first going to give to and explain to you about a charity that's from the UK, and then almost every single synagogue tells you, actually, you're going to then talk to us about a charity that is in Israel. So you do one for Britain, one for Israel. And they said for them, this was very uncomfortable. But they also spoke about how, as a Jewish person, this is very complex, because a lot of their family would have it could cause major splits depending on how they talked about it. So there are obviously a lot of complexities for Jewish people. And they spoke to me about like some of the stuff that I find.
All right. We got to be done with talking about this person. This like, honestly, it's like the same shit over and over again. Ethan, everybody's a flawed person. Ethan probably could communicate better sometimes. We all could. I could communicate better sometimes. We know his stance is Israel has a right to exist. Palestine shouldn't be genocided. The Israeli government's terrible, but the people are okay. And that like two-state solution, I guarantee you he would agree with reparations to Palestine, but like that's never what's talked about. Everything is just like nitpicking at stupid shit that they've said sometimes. Okay, it's like that's pretty much everything. That's what it is every day.